Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another One Piece chapter reaction. This time for One Piece chapter 1152. I don't know about y'all, but it feels like it's been forever since the last chapter. I know the last chapter was like... last few chapters have been insanely peak. But the last couple weeks I've been super busy, so I apologize for not getting a video out. I believe I told you guys I might get 2 and I got 0, so I'm sorry. But I do have some excuses as usual. For one, I didn't know that my editor needed a break, or he had some stuff going on, so wasn't able to use him, so that definitely threw a wrench in it. But I have a better excuse, one that I think you guys are going to be kind of excited about. I rescued a new feline friend. Basically, long story short, my grandma, she's doing all right. I just visited her, but she's in a nursing home for the time being, and her cat was left alone. And she's been alone for a couple months. Her name is Bella, and I was like, you know what? We can't let her be home alone that long. She's a member of the family. You guys know I love pets way too much, and so I had to get the house ready. I did a ton of work to prepare it, and just got a bunch of work done so I could, welcome her into the house. So we got a new cat friend. She's still warming up. She's still down in my room, hiding under blankets and stuff. So she hasn't been warmed up enough to come meet all the other animals, but had a busy 2 weeks there getting a new friend in the house. So sorry I did not get a video out, but I hope that's a good enough excuse. She is so cute and so nice. I took her from her house. She doesn't even know who I am. Took her to the vet. Random people, poking her with stuff. She's all healthy, which is great. But just wanted to let you guys know I had a good excuse this week for not getting a video done. So that's Bella. Hopefully she'll be warmed up enough to come, appear on stream at some point soon. But yeah, she's super cute. She's so nice. She did not even fight us whenever we stole her. She's just really sad that she lost her owner. So, and maybe she'll get to meet her owner again, my grandma. We don't really know yet. But for now, wanted to give her a good home. So we got a new cat in the house. So welcome Bella to the crib. But like I said, unfortunately, that is part of the reason. Not to blame Bella. It's not her fault that all this happened, but that is why that's one of the reasons why I didn't get a video done. But we're gonna get some videos done soon. I had a couple weeks to almost not think about One Piece, which with the stuff going on, it was not easy. But with all the stuff going on, I really couldn't even think about it much. So now I'm actually really excited to come back and read this chapter, see what you guys got to say, get some videos done, do some content. It was kind of a nice break in some ways for myself. So yeah, I'm excited to get you guys some more content. So yeah. Hope that's all right. See a lot of support in the chat for Bella. That's awesome. She would love it if she could know. I'm still learning how to speak cat. I can do the slow blink. I can let them know that we're homies. But that's all I know how to say. So, but I'll let her know. I'll tell her that she's got some supporters. I'm gonna get through a couple super chats real quick. And actually, before I forget, oh wait, that's the wrong thing. Want to give you guys 5 free memberships from YouTube. Wanted to make sure I did that, and I did not forget. So thank YouTube for those, for sure. I'm going to get through a couple of these super chats real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the chapter. I've already delayed the reaction enough talking about Bella, but I'm so excited to have her in the house and for her to not be home alone anymore. She's been alone for a couple months, so we're giving her some time to cool off. But first up, we got Kush Daddy over here, member for 17 months. Any Way You Want It or Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Listen, Any Way You Want It is great, but Don't Stop Believing is way too iconic to not pick. And I feel like that's my default for a lot of these. It's on some level, I'm not even picking my favorite song, but Don't Stop Believing was like an anthem for me and a lot of my friends growing up. I don't know if you guys also jammed to that as much as we did, but when I was in, I don't know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade range, somewhere around there, Don't Stop Believin' was our #1 song. So definitely going with that one for sure. Quanidin with the $5 super chat. What's good, Dak? How you doing today? I'm doing great today. Today is, I haven't had any overly bad days, but today is one of the best days I've had. I did a couple projects this morning and nothing went awry, which is kept happening before I got Bella the prior week. So we're doing much better. Not sure what to rate this chapter, TBH. I want your rating when you finish reading. All right, hey, now that's interesting. I know usually your ratings are near mine. So now that you're saying you're not really sure, now that has me really wondering what's up in this chapter, because I have not seen anything from this chapter. By the way, I'm not spoiled at all. I wasn't given warnings to avoid spoilers, so I have no idea what's coming in. So I'm honestly really pumped to see this. I see a lot of people saying crazy chapter though, so that's exciting. RQ, member for 7 months. Dude, I can't believe it's already been 7 months since you joined. I think I remember your first one, so that is super awesome, dude. Thank you. What up, Dak? This chapter is as crazy as 957. That's a big chapter to compare to. That might be that's in my top 5 chapters of all time. Is 957. So that's amazing. Well, is it in my top 5? It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10 most memorable, I'll put it that way, because that one changed the game. So I'm super excited now. K Raven with the $5 super chat. Welcome to the new fur, baby. Oh, dude, thank you so much. This chapter is incredible. Looking forward to your commentary. 12 out of 10 chapter. Take your time, King. Hey. Hey. It's crazy how these early super chats just get me more and more hyped for the chapter. You know, like, I'm glad I get to read these, because I'm just sitting here like, what could Oda possibly be cooking that that is making, anyway, everyone so pumped. So I can't wait. Let's see. Friend Harper with the $10 housewarming gift for Bella. Friend Harper, you are too kind, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Seriously, I will make sure to get Bella something with that $10. And actually, here, I'll show you guys a little tidbit. I hid this from you because I didn't want questions, but now I'll show you. You guys see that little blob under Bella? That was us trying to give her a treat, a churu, I think is what they're called, a little tube, like a cat Go-Gurt. But she didn't want it because she's been too stressed. She's barely eaten, so I'm gonna keep coaxing her with some really good treats. Especially now that you just donated that, I'll make sure to get her something really good. So thank you very much, friend Harper. Seriously. And then I see a lot of other donations down here. I just lost track of it. Oh my gosh, you guys, man, y'all seriously just make my days. Like, this is too much. Knack Talk with the 10 gifted memberships, quickly followed up by Bean Boy with the 5 gifted memberships, quickly followed up by Lonely Mage with the 10 gifted memberships, and then let's not forget that's followed up by ZMP323, my guy, with the 5 gifted memberships. And then let's go down here. We're not done. We got Vex's, the Lurking Legend, with 5 more gifted memberships. And then also a 24-month member message, which 2 years, Vex. Hey, you might be losing the title of Lurking Legend, because if you've been around for 2 years, you know, donating like this, like we know you're here. There's no more lurking. But you said like the stream, no spoilers in chat. My guy Vex, thank you so much for the spoiler defense as usual. Y'all are so awesome. Seriously, spreading the love like that made my day, for real. Made my week. This has been a very long week. Like, not bad again for myself, but just with Bella and getting the house ready. And honestly, it's been hot, and I'm sure you guys know the world is not in a good place right now. So a lot of things have been weighing on me, but y'all seriously make my day. And Isaac, I see you said switching to YouTube with everyone here. Appreciate you. Honestly, I've had issues with Twitch lately, because, well, it ties to the YouTube issues we've had, and so I've been setting up my Twitch streams differently, and I don't even know if they work or whatever. I honestly haven't been looking, because on Streamlabs it doesn't look the same because I did it differently, but it makes the YouTube end work, and I feel like YouTube, sadly, is a little bit more important. You know, we got more people over there, so anyway, thank you very much for switching over. Thank you for all the donations, everybody. David Cott, member for 12 months, 8.5 out of 10 chapter for me. Let's go. That's a big rating for David, so that again has me even more hyped. And then Bean Boy, member for 26 months. Oda wrote this chapter for me. I asked him to. Well, sir, if Oda wrote this chapter for my boy Bean Boy, then we gotta dive in. So let's get into the chapter. If you all donate anything else, we'll get to that right after the reaction. But let's go ahead and get into chapter 1152. An awful day. I'm sitting here talking about how you guys made my day and how great it's been, and now we got this title. Wow, that is very serendipitous. My one of my favorite words. So let's see here. First, we got another installment of the Yamato cover story series. Delivery complete. Kawamatsu, daimyo of Hakumai, receives Otama's hat. And I really, really love this, because this is a callback to the Ace thing, right? Where Ace learned how to make straw hats here, and he made one for Orange Jr., and it's just, I feel like this is a cool way to kind of rope it back together. And also it says delivery complete, and I think they said last chapter, I'm actually going to go back real quick and just check to refresh my memory. Oh, that's right. Last one was the sumo tournament. Forgot about that one. But I think it was the one before. Oh yeah, so they already said pilgrimage complete a few chapters ago, so now they have delivery complete. So it feels like we're getting to the end of this cover story. So I am excited to see how Oda caps this off. I think a lot of people have been thinking, oh, maybe Kaido or Big Mom are gonna have a role here, or Pluton, or not that Kaido and Big Mom, will like meet Yamato, but at least we'll figure out what happened to them. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get something out of it, because I feel like a lot of us felt like this cover story kind of dragged on a little bit. So hopefully we get something big out of it. But all right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the chapter here. And let's see, last time we left off with the monster trio plus Loki and Harudin preparing to leave to go battle Emu. So let's hurry to the lift. Abnormal Haki emanates from the realm of the sun. Gerd, we'll leave this sack of filth in your care. Got it. Okay. Be careful. I shall dedicate all my might to this, Gerd Tasso. Harudin, move it. Let's get going. Okay, so they have like a pulley lift thing that's taking them up. This reminds me a lot of the mole port in Wano. Speaking of Pluton, because they had that pulley system that took them from like the bottom all the way up to the top. You would kind of like go under the waterfall or whatever. So that's interesting. I'd better stay too, Luffy. Yasan's wounds are too severe. We can't move him yet. Got it. I'll leave it to you. Hey, Straw Hat Luffy. Be mindful of the way you use Conqueror's Haki. Those guys are by no means immortal. Be mindful of the way you use Conqueror's Haki. Those guys are by no means immortal. So is he just saying that Conqueror's Haki is the trick, or is he... Because obviously it's Conqueror's Haki related, but Luffy, obviously knows how to use that, and it didn't really work before. So I'm wondering, is it a new application? Is it you have to aim for a certain thing? I don't know. We'll see here. I also really like that Oda is letting Chopper and Scopper have some time to talk. That, I've been talking about that for a while, the potential Chopper and Scopper and Kureha and Drum Island intersection of things. And that seems to be Oda's setup now that we got Chopper and him getting some alone time. So I'm excited for them to talk about the past. Thanks. You can count on me. I'll save Colin and his friends no matter what. I like that pose that Luffy's in. I don't know why. It's just... That's cool. Gaban, that just made it click for me. I wasn't able to put it into words before. My own power. I'm the only one left who's faced these knights before. I know I can beat them. Free me and take me with you, Harudin. You fighting for Elbaf? No, I gotta think about this real quick. So, Gaban, that just made it click for me. I wasn't able to put it into words before. My own power. I'm the only one left who's faced these knights before. So he has fought them. Because, like, is he just talking about when like, Gunko and Shamrock pulled up and, attacked him briefly? Or is he talking about a prior altercation? I wasn't able to put it into words before. My own power. Oda is like so cryptic with Loki, I feel like, but there's definitely something here. Harudin, like I'd ever take you with us. There's another in your group who uses Conqueror's Haki. Oh god, Sanji, bro. Is it me? I knew it. With how things were going, Mosshead and Jinbei were about to usurp me. You there. Swordsman, your body seems to be growing accustomed to it. So I know that this is a little bit of Sanji slander. I already know that the power scalers are going to take this and run with it, just like how at the end of last chapter, then Scopper had like no, I was number 2, like that thing. I actually think this is a big hint that Sanji will get it, even if he doesn't have it now or whatever. I think. Like, the fact that Scopper has it and we're building around this, and Scopper is obviously the Sanji of the Roger crew, I feel like they're definitely building something. But it is cool that they're giving Zoro a moment with this, though. I actually like that. You there, Swordsman. Your body seems to be growing accustomed to it. And him saying growing accustomed to it's interesting. That reminds me of Enma a little bit, like how Enma was draining Zoro's haki, and it's like, you got to get used to outputting this much haki, bro. Like, this is what it takes. And so it's kind of like he's building on that lesson a little bit here. I have Conqueror's haki? What? You didn't know? It's been oozing off you. Wow. That's so interesting that Luffy said that, because remember last chapter when he said, like, how could I tell that it was Chopper? Like his observation haki is getting better, or maybe Voice of All Things, or they might be connected, but that's getting better, and he like couldn't really tell. And now we have Zoro here who's like, wait, what? What's going on? And he's like, what? You haven't been able to tell? It's kind of cool that their haki's growing without them acknowledging it themselves. How absurd. Haki is a power that must be understood and tamed. Your captain is one of the 4 emperors. You should be meticulous if you intend to have his back. My bad. Damn, Scopper's like scolding Zoro here almost. Haki is a power that must be understood and tamed. And see, that goes back to the Enma thing, right? Like that tamed is kind of the operative word here. And it reminds me of Enma, and what it also reminds me of, and I know this is a different angle, but it also makes me think of like awakened zones and how you gotta like control that will. It almost feels like you gotta tame it to a degree, like your will has to be strong enough or the right kind. And so that's an interesting word he threw in there. I wonder how close the official is to tamed. Like, you know, maybe I don't know if the official will stick with that word, but it's very interesting, I think. Hey, old man, what about me? See, and so he's gonna cut him off here. So see, again, I think Sanji, I think Oda's setting up something with Sanji here as well. Harudin, you're pathetic. You'd rather sit back and let these outsiders save our homeland? I'm right here. Use me. So that's also a little bit of a callback to the Fishman Island situation, if you remember, where Jinbei was like, you know, you're humans. We have kind of an issue with humans. If you're going to save the day, it's got to be in the right way. And it feels like this is a little bit of a retread of that. Like, you're going to sit back and let outsiders do it. Like, it's our island, you know, so that's interesting. Who's to say you won't side with the government? You could easily stab Elbaf in the back again, just like you did on that day. How can you expect me to trust you? So this is definitely calling back to the Herald situation. Okay, it seems like Oda's going away from it. Harudin, hurry. We can't let the casualties pile up anymore. Hey, Loki. Join my crew? What? I know Luffy says this a lot of the time. He said it to people who didn't end up joining. Sometimes Luffy's just talking stuff, but bro, that came out of nowhere. Join my crew. If he does, then you can't complain if I free him, right, Harudin? Bro. What is Loki about to say? There's no way he agrees, right? There's even if it frees him, there's no way. Huh? Get real, Luffy. There's no way we'd fit him on the ship. Okay, so that's the biggest point. That's what I've been saying why Loki can't join, is he won't fit. And it's like, it feels like an excuse of an answer, but it is a legitimate problem. Like this, like, we're not going to get a new ship unless the Sunny, you know, we can enlarge the Sunny. But even then, do our human-sized crewmates want to have a monster ship that takes forever to get from the front to the back, you know? So anyways, yeah, think of the food supplies. He eats even more than you do. Elbaf doesn't seem to want him, but he seems okay to me. Besides, if he tries anything, I can always beat him up. Don't mess with me, you runt. There's no way I'm becoming your underling, alright? So I don't know if this is setting up for something later, but that's pretty much the response I expected. You're going off your gut, huh, Straw Hat? I can't wait to see how he fights. Us either, bro. Luffy, us too. We are ready. Like, I know this guy is scary, but just let's just get it over with. Like, there's no way we're not going to see this at some point. Haradin, what are you doing? The lift's ready to go. I'm coming now. Sorry, Straw Hat. Loki is a condemned criminal in Elbaf. I can't just hand him over to you. Really? Haradin, release Loki. Whoa, so we got Scopper coming in and giving the order now. Haradin, release Loki. This is kind of a cool chapter. Like, it's all sort of set up, but I'm into it. What was that, Yasan? 14 years ago, Loki murdered 113 members of the castle guard. He left Elder Jarl at the brink of death, killed his own father in cold blood. He's the worst criminal our country's ever known. Worse than Big Mom? We'll see if they talk about that. I know, but on that day, I felt a strange emanation of hockey coming from our west castle. Shanks and I went there to investigate. Looking back, it's possible we didn't have the whole story. You went to the castle? What the... Wait, did you just say Shanks? And Luffy, I'm glad you said that, because that is really crazy. That, I mean, we know Shanks obviously had a big role in Elbaf, helped capture Loki. We already knew that. But just the idea that Scopper and Shanks teamed up to go check out some weird hockey, it's like, okay, I know you're saying a strange emanation of hockey, but I feel like you're really underselling it here, Scopper, because if you and Shanks felt some hockey that was weird enough to make you both go check it out, it's more than strange. This is you should have known something was up. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, it's possible we didn't have the whole story. Well, I mean, if you felt some weird hockey that made you two go, I bet you don't have the whole story. Stanson, I'm sorry. Go ahead without me. Zoro, Sanji, I'll catch up in a bit. This dumb Shanks thing again. So, hey, don't call Shanks dumb. He means you're the dumb one. So, again, this line here with Zoro, this dumb Shanks thing again, this is something that I think has been building for a while, and I might be reading into it too much, but he's had so many comments that are similar to this, where he's questioning Luffy in some way, that I really feel like there's something coming, like, gonna happen soon between Zoro and Sanji, or Zoro and Luffy. Not that, you know, Zoro will ever leave the crew or anything like that, of course. That's never gonna happen, but like another conflict between the two, maybe like where they fought like Whiskey Peak, or maybe even a little bit like Water 7, where Zoro's like, hey, if you act this way, I'm not going to be a member of the crew anymore, right? Like, he just kind of threatened it, and they had, like, it forced a discussion. I really feel like, because Zoro said this, he had the thing with Vegapunk at the end of Egghead. He also, like, whenever they first met Loki, he was questioning Luffy's, like, interpretation, like, what are you doing? This guy's bad. You know, so there's been a lot of questioning, and I feel like Oda's building up to a major Zoro and Luffy argument at some point. Or if it's not an argument between the two, I think it's going to be mainly where Zoro's got to realize he's wrong. Because through a lot of the times where Zoro steps up and says, like, hey, you guys are making a mistake, Zoro is usually the one who's right. You know, you think back to the Usopp thing in Water 7. Zoro was definitely right for saying that. You think back to after Wano, when they're worried about Vivi, and they're like, well, let's go get her. Let's go to Marijua. And Zoro's like, we don't even know where she is. Let's relax. Like, he's almost always in the right, but I think Oda's building a situation where Zoro's got to realize he's wrong, and that he needs to take a page out of Luffy's playbook a little bit. So I've actually been thinking about doing a full video on that, and that might be the thing that pushes me over the edge to do it, because that's just more ammo. But anyways, Gaban, Haradin, who else can get him talking? You may have had different mothers, but you're still brothers. You have 3 minutes to explain, Loki. Tell me what happened in the castle 14 years ago. If you truly consider yourself a warrior of Elbaf, swear on our gods that what you say is the truth. I mean, this is obviously about to be a big moment for Loki, but I like the moment for Haradin as well. Like, getting to kind of... You know, he's the one standing in, like, hey, if you don't explain it, there's no way I'm doing this. We know you're evil. Like he's kind of standing in for how most of Elbaf feels, and it's a cool moment for them, I feel like. And also this, like, you may have had different mothers, but you're still brothers line. It's like, I don't know, it's very cool. That's cruel, brother. You really want me to relive that day? I like these little shots here of like the lift getting filled up, Gerd's even looking over like what's about to happen. Luffy's expression. You can tell we're about to get a big backstory here. And you can see the outline turning black, so we are in flashback mode here. I don't want to remember. It was an awful day. Look, up in the sky. 14 years ago, Elbaf. Oest Castle? I don't know how to really say that, but Dogahaha. It's Loki. Prince Loki has returned. Elder Jarl just arrived too. He summoned you too, Loki? Something like that. This is my family's home, you know. You seem well, old man. You haven't grown sick of life yet? Quiet, you. The king is in the audience chamber. Cliff just knocked over this back scratcher that I have hanging off my desk, and he got very scared. He's scared of this flashback. He doesn't know what's about to happen. The king is in the audience chamber. I wonder what he wants. By the way, real quick, the hammer. Is that what it looked like when he swung it on the tree? I felt like it looked different than that. But the hammer's got that little design on it. I don't know if we've seen it in that clear of a view yet, but it's interesting. I wonder what he wants. It's hard to care about the whims of a government dog. Okay, very important context here. He sold out to the people who killed Rocks. If that's the direction Elbaf's heading, then I will oppose it. You're being loud. I'm too old for this stuff. Politics is a young man's game. In the US, it is the exact opposite, unfortunately. It's hard to care about the whims of a government dog. He sold out to the people who killed Rocks. So that's the government, but it's like, we also know that, like, Roger helped, and so I was kind of thinking of that angle, but he's definitely just referring to the government. We're in this mess because you keep spouting that kind of nonsense. Now we've got a whole generation of peace-addled brats who can't even hold a weapon. We got Jarl kind of not responding. I love that context, because that whole, like, you know, the children that are about peace and education and all that kind of stuff, and like the library, the school, like that them versus the warrior thing that Elbaf's been known for, like that thing's been built up really well. So I like that they're touching on that too. That's just a sign of the times. It's nice to know that my great-grandchildren won't see combat. They want peace. And that is Ilva that he is referring to, or at least one of them. He said children, so maybe he has multiple, but I believe that's Ilva that he's mainly talking about. And it's interesting because even if they didn't want to see combat came and found them, right? Like the God's Knights came and just showed up, so that's interesting. Coward, it's your duty to whip them into shape. What's that sound? It's coming from the throne room. Thank you for coming, Elder Jarl. Loki, I mean young master, it's a pleasure to have you back. Of course. Well, let me just consult with the king. He summoned me, and this is my home. Whoa, Loki, whoa! Open up, idiot. Whoa, Loki, look, man, we didn't have to do that. He just crushed that guy straight into the door, broke the door down. Come on, brother. I get what you mean by Elbaf should maybe be ready for war, because, I mean, we have the final war coming and all that stuff, but, like, we ain't got to be like this, you know? Young master, violence is... See, like, you're too far in that direction, Loki. Come on now. Old man, And what is going on? Oh, my God. Okay. Your Majesty. What? Harold? What the hell are you doing? So all these guys are stabbing Harold? That is a crazy panel, man. That's like a that's a nice thumbnail format right there. Was what I think. That is wow. That's not what I expected. So was he like getting turned into a demon and they attacked him? We're probably gonna find out soon, I would imagine. Realm of the Sun, Gaban's house. What a staggering view. This is the best, right? It's been quite a while since we've shared a bath. How long it's been? 3, maybe 4 years? Get real. It's been 10 years since the captain died, so that this is... Yeah, because 14 years ago is when this happened, 24 years since... Okay, yep, that timeline makes sense. That long, huh? That must feel like forever ago to you, huh? Yeah, life's completely changed. I honestly just wanted to be a carefree pirate with Buggy. Whoa, okay, whoa. Like, I know we kind of knew that from some other flashback stuff, but just him throwing that out there, that's pretty wild. Like I've been wanting to know the context behind, you know, why he didn't go with Buggy, and that led to Buggy's whole thing. And so I just love that he's mentioning it. It's just so cool. Buggy getting some props. Still, Elbaf, there are some things I'd like to know. Understandable. You were a child of destiny. But let's not dwell on tricky topics today, Shanks. Say, remember Little Garden, the island where we met Dory and Brogy? Of course. Hot enough, Yasan? Shank-kun? Oh, it's like Shanks-kun, Shank-kun, okay. Whoa, you scared me. Shank-kun? That's great, Ripley. I want to know what they're about to say about Little Garden. What were you about to say? I mean, were you just saying remember that, or were you about to say something, Scopper? Because I need to know if you were about to hype something up. This spot really is the best. So this is what a human giant household is like. Is she holding Colin? All right, that's cool. That's cool. So this is what a human giant household is like. I have some lingonberry tart, and help yourself to drinks. Shankun, got any juicy old stories about Yasan? And now we got Shanks here eating this giant, what do they call it? Lingonberry tart. About Gaban-san? Oh, I've got one. Anytime we made it to a port, there were who knows how many nice boys, probably like a lot of women or something coming for him, I would imagine. You brat, if you want to make it out of this country alive, you'll zip it. Do you know Harold? He's the king of Elbaf. The people think of him like a god. Yeah, I met him at Marie-Joie. We got along all right. We're getting all sorts of info right now. The fact that we have Shanks and Gaban talking is incredible in and of itself. But now we're also getting this confirmation that Shanks met Harold at Marie-Joie, because we know that Shanks went back to Marie-Joie for like some time period, right? Like I forget exactly how Shamrock worded it, but it seemed like he went there for a little bit and realized he didn't like it. But he met Harold there. We couldn't speak freely in the Holy Land. Now that we're both in this country, I really want to talk to him before it's too late. I love Scopper's design here. This like middle-aged design for Scopper is fire. Genuinely, I don't really like. I mean, I love One Piece's designs. Like, there's, you know, I don't really have issues with them generally, but there are some times where the design just really stands out. And this middle-aged Scopper is awesome. Like the way that his hair is like kind of two-toned, like he's halfway between gray and black, and just, I don't know. I'm a huge, and the way he's drawn here next to Shanks, he could be a movie star, bro. Scopper, I don't. What's coming next? What's next? That day, the massacre at the castle took place. Elbaf's most beloved king, Harold the Benevolent, is that really his, like, epithet? Lost his life. What's this? Let us out. Who closed the gate? Help! And we see a sword. That's probably through Jarl's head. Elder Jarl, yep, it is. This is the forbidden devil fruit passed down with an Elbaf. And it's in that chest right there. So who is saying that? This is the forbidden devil fruit passed down with an Elbaf. Is that Harold saying it? We also see this chain popping off right here. This lock that's like coming undone. That must be for the fruit. It must have been locked away. Probably in that treasure room or whatever. It was probably a lot of chains or something. But just how did this man come to be so highly regarded by his people? I wonder if there's any hint to what the fruit is on that chest. I see like those 3 feather-looking things. I feel like a bird-related fruit has kind of been a lot of theories. A long time ago, 109 years before the present day. That's before Brooke was even born. If you asked anyone what the scariest thing on the sea is, the answer would always be the same. The giant warrior pirates. That was how things were in that era. In that age, even ships from the land of the giants evoked immense fear due to Elbaf's reputation. It's a giant ship. I heard there's a beautiful princess in your castle. Let's have a peek. Is this Harold talking? He was one of the reasons for said reputation. Oh my god, bro. Whoa, Harold? Harold looks badass. Look how much bigger he is than the whole place. And also, it makes it a little weird now that he said, I heard there's a beautiful princess in your castle. Then he's just coming in like this. Feels like a sketchy guy. But, whoops, my foot slipped. Your Majesty, please stop this. King Harold of Warland Elbaf. Bar-ahaha? Okay. Harold began his reign at 45 years of age. Just 15 in human terms. Okay, so that we've kind of already known this, but that is like literal confirmation that giants are 3 times as old as humans, pretty much. Despite this, King Harold, remarkably enough, was pure scum. Barahaha. Go on. Tell me who your god is. The untold story of Elbaf's renowned ruler. Y'all, I love this chapter. I genuinely love this chapter so much. Like, whenever you go back to the last couple chapters, I mean, they were obviously super hype, and I would not blame anyone for saying they're more hype, because we literally saw Emu pull up. We saw, you know, all these giants turning into demons. We, you know, the little Brook flashback thing a few chapters ago, which that was super hype also. But for me, this chapter was just awesome. Like, so much good setup. It felt like a really long chapter, and maybe that's just me and how long I take to read things. But I genuinely love this chapter so much. Like, the amount of setup, the little things to take from it. This is like a really good chapter for me to have like make a good deep video on, where there's just a lot of things to touch on. We got the Chopper and Scopper connection starting, which I've been waiting for. That's where, if there's a Kureha Drum Island story there, that's where we're going to get that. We saw the group split up again, which is probably going to lead to something where, you know, they're taking the lift up, like a lot of them. Zoro, Sanji, and a lot of the other giants are going up on the lift now. But then we have Loki, Harudin, Scopper, Luffy, and Gerd, I think, separate. I don't know about Gerd, but regardless, the rest of them are separated, you know, listening to this flashback. So that's going to be important. So it seems like Zoro and Sanji are going to get a taste of the Gods, Knights, and Emu before Luffy even does. So that'll be some cool context for, I don't know, just in general. We have this whole Conqueror's Hockey discussion, which is leading to how you beat the Gods, Knights, which again, Luffy has definitely used Conqueror's Hockey before, at least on the Gorosei and Egghead, and that didn't really work. I mean, Luffy was like holding his hand, even when he was in Gear 5th and stuff, like it was hurting him. So there's something with Conqueror's Hockey that's going to be you know, he says be mindful of the way you use it. So I will see what that goes to. But then this discussion here with Sanji and Zoro, I think that's definitely setting up some cool Zoro hype, but also Sanji hype. This is just such a good chapter, guys. Genuinely, it's one of the best setup, because it is a setup chapter in a lot of ways, right? But it's such a good setup chapter. We did get a little bit of delivery where we got to finally see Harold and learn a little bit about him and learn that he was a piece of trash, which a lot of us were expecting. With that being said, I do think he'll be a little bit more complicated than that. He's definitely going to be a bad person, but I'm sure there'll be a little bit more to it, like his reasoning behind it, and we'll see what his upbringing was, how he got this way. But like going back 109 years before present day and learning more about, you know, the giant warrior pirates, like we kind of knew that like they were, you know, the big bosses back in the day, but and this makes a lot of sense now, going back to the Brook thing and how Brook ties into all this. Like Brook is going to know all of the King Harold stories for the most part, like the stuff, you know, once he got lost 52 years ago, he's not going to know that, but Harold was out doing things before Brook was even born, so there's going to be a lot of stories for him to tell us. Seeing young Dorian Broggie is honestly insane. I kind of skipped over that, but like we got young Dorian Broggie here, very young. How old are they? Let me look it up. Hold on. Do we know their? I think we had to have gotten their age. Okay, so Dory at least is 160. So this is 109 years ago. So he's 51 here, and in giant or in human terms, that's like he's 17, which is perfect because Luffy set out when he was 17. And now we got Dorian Broggie doing the same thing, bro. Oda, I always love you, but there's sometimes where where the love just boils over, and you did a number this week, my guy. Great chapter, great chapter. All right, time to get into the super chats now. I am so excited to see what you guys got to say about this. There's so many different theories you can pull out of this. Also, just earlier, RQ, you said this chapter was as crazy as 957. I know I read this already, but just want to let you know it's up there. 957's like, again, top 10. I don't know if this will end up getting my top 10, but this is definitely one of my favorite Elbaf chapters, bar none. So much great setup. It's insane. Let's see. I read that. I read David's. I read Bean Boys. Lol Sauce McGee, member for 29 months. That is insane. Thank you so much, dude. You said, yo, the GOAT, like D-Stream. Bro, no, you're the GOAT, man. I appreciate you. And if y'all wouldn't mind liking D-Stream, that would definitely help the algorithm for sure. That is still a thing. As long as YouTube exists, liking the stream will be beneficial. Smooth Weeb, Canadian $2. Was Harold Domi reversied from bad to good? Oh, dude, you're cooking. Oh, man. That is actually insane. That is a really good idea. Like, oh, man, I love that. I don't know. You know, we don't know enough about the powers, I feel like, to fully understand how it works. But, because, like, because this also makes me think of Usopp, right? You think back to like Perona, where he was already so negative that you couldn't really do anything. So I could also see a world where if he's not changed from bad to good, he could just be bad, and then they Domi reverse it, and he's like, what? Like, I didn't feel anything. Because like maybe he's so evil there was no difference. I could see that as well. But I just, the idea that the Domi Reversi didn't work the same on him as it does everyone else is awesome. It also makes me wonder if Loki will have the same situation. Maybe Loki, again, whether he's turned to good or whether it just doesn't affect him, whatever. And then that's interesting too, because, you know, I think a lot of people talked about how like the Will of D might do that, and maybe these guys are part of the D clan. That could be part of it. But it could also like kind of show the importance of like having, like, you don't always want just good guys on your side, and this is like, it's kind of like a weird topic to talk about, but like it might be showing like, hey, if you really want to beat these big bads, you're going to need a multifaceted faction of people who aren't necessarily good, but they're bad in the sense of they're against the same people as you. You know, I don't know if that's maybe where Oda's going, where we're going to, like, it's okay to ally with bad guys, quote unquote, which Luffy has done tons of times. You know, you think about Impel Down, he teamed up with Crocodile and Buggy and all them, and and you know, Luffy did what he had to do. So I don't know if that's maybe where this is going, is like, hey, it's not a bad thing to have bad guys on your side. So that's super interesting, Smooth Weeb. I really love that idea. CB Maddie with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Maddie. I don't blame Haradin for being stubborn. Loki keeps crying that he isn't believed, yet he waits until now to tell his brother. He's like, oh, I'll tell you if you get on your knees. Just tell him. That is a really good point, too, Maddie. I didn't really think about the logistics of that, but that is very true. Like, and also, another thing is, Jarl was here, and I don't know if Jarl's memories maybe got messed with from the sword, and maybe, I don't know if that was already mentioned in Elbaf, perhaps, but, like, Jarl is also here and saw all of this happen, right? And so, but yeah, just in general, like, the fact that this is, like, why wouldn't Loki exonerate himself earlier, right? Like, why wouldn't Loki go out and tell people, like, no, I didn't kill him, or it's not what you think. I walked in and our dad was getting stabbed by everybody. Like, it's not me. Like, what? It is a little weird. And I would say that Oda might add some context to this. Like, part of it is Loki saying, I don't want to remember. It was an awful day. Like, maybe he just didn't want to revisit the trauma, but he did here, so clearly he's not, like, incapable of it. So that is interesting, Maddie. Like, I think Oda will add some more context to it. I don't know what exactly, but I feel like Oda's the type of guy where he would think about that, because it's almost like I don't know if plot hole is necessarily the right word, but it's kind of in that vein where it's just kind of like this. Loki could have just told everybody what is going on. So yeah, I hope Oda adds stuff to it, because it does feel weird. It definitely does. So I don't know. I mean, it could just be like, I mean, I don't think this is a good enough reason necessarily, but it could be maybe Loki tried, and maybe it's like an Usopp thing. Remember how Usopp said, like, the pirates are coming, and like nobody wanted to listen? Maybe he was going around telling people, like, it wasn't me, and nobody listened, and so now he's... But then again, like, Haradin, his brother, should have listened, right? Should have, even if he didn't believe him, like that would be easier to explain. Is if Haradin was like, well, you already told me, and that story doesn't make any sense, and now he's telling everybody else, and maybe everyone, like Luffy will believe it. But Haradin's acting like he doesn't even know it, like he's never been told it before, and that is weird. That is a little bit weird. So I hope Oda does a little explaining there. Smooth Weeb with the Canadian $5. I don't think Zoro's wrong, though. Luffy is being unnecessarily overprotective of Shanks in a way I don't think he would have pre-time skip. I'm not 100% sure that like, because Zoro, if he thought that, I don't think it's really worth it for him to like in this situation. I don't know if, like, all Luffy says is, wait, did you just say Shanks? And that's it, right? Like Luffy didn't have a whole thing, and so Zoro's like this dumb Shanks thing again. It's like, I mean, this is Luffy's, like, role model, you know, and Zoro should know that of all people, right? So, like, again, if Luffy had, like, gotten into trouble this time over the Shanks thing, like, maybe if, like, they were going up the lift and he overheard someone say Shanks and he jumped off the lift, and Zoro's like, bro, stop, like, we need to go fight these guys, what are you doing? Like, that might, you know, that might apply a little bit better. But since he's just saying, like, wait, you said Shanks? And then nothing changed, it's just Zoro's now complaining about it. It's not what I'm about to say, but it's almost like, not that Zoro's jealous, but it's like Zoro doesn't understand that, like, how important Shanks is to a degree. Like, I don't think Zoro really doesn't have someone like that. Like, Kuina's kind of the main one who's like that, but Kuina died, so he doesn't really have the same thing. And also, Kuina's not like a world-renowned person, you know what I mean? So it's like Zoro doesn't have the same, you know, type of role model, so he's not able to feel the same way. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting, but the fact that the main thing is that these things keep piling up, right? Like, if this was the only comment, it wouldn't be a big deal, but I feel like Zoro's had so many little comments lately. And like I said, with, like, at the end of Wano, when Zoro said, oh, we don't even know where Vivi is, we're not going to Marijois. Like, that's the kind of thing that, like, makes sense and is effective in the moment, where there was like a reason for him saying that so that they could just stay on course and they wouldn't, lose track of what's going on. But in this case, there's not like an effect from it, right? He's just complaining. He's like just upset about it for some reason. Like he's just tired of the Shanks thing in general. So I don't know. I agree that he's not necessarily wrong for, like, if Luffy is worried about Shanks to the point of messing with the mission, then I think he has a point there. But in this case, that's not really happening. So it feels like it's just a buildup of Zoro being annoyed at Luffy for things. And I think that's mainly the point, is it's just a continuation of, like, Luffy keeps doing these dumb little things I don't like, So I don't know. Well, I'm excited to see what happens, because even if it ends up being Zoro's right, I still feel like there's an altercation coming between the two. Like, I mean, Zoro's kind of disrespecting Shanks. Like, I know Luffy is, Sanji here is saying, like, no, he means you're the dumb one about this Shanks thing. But it's still, like, he's kind of disrespecting their connection, at least at a bare minimum. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does. CB Maddie with the $10 super chat. Boo-hoo, don't make me relive that day. Howardine thinks his brother murdered their father in cold blood. He bullied him and said his mother had tainted blood. We're supposed to be hyped for him as a nakama, and that's a continuation of your earlier one, so I should have just read those back to back. But yeah, I completely agree, man. It's like, it's a good point that you're bringing up the Howardine, like, that it's both their dads. It's like if I'm Howardine, I'm going to be like, dude, everyone's saying you killed our dad. Tell me what happened right now. Like, that's what I'd do if my brother was accused of that. I'm like, you tell me your story, and I'll make my own decision, or I'll go, if you have some evidence, I'll go fight for you. Like, there's a lot of things that could come out of it. But, like, when he's not even telling Howardine who's, it was his dad that died, it's like, this is the one guy you got to tell. And you said we're supposed to be hyped for him as a nakama, especially given that Howardine is already kind of a nakama, like he's in the Grand Fleet, obviously. And he was also the guy holding up Usopp with the God Usopp moment, which I always think is kind of cool. And so the fact that, now, like, Loki's getting asked to join, and Luffy wouldn't even really, like, let the Grand Fleet join. Remember that? How, like, they wanted to, like, exchange the cups, and Luffy's like, if you need help, call us. Like, he didn't want to drink the sake, but he was kind of like, I mean, we are friends, but we're not crewmates necessarily, or something like that. It is interesting that now Loki's getting the full-on invitation to join before we even know the story. And it is interesting. Like, Loki should have told this story a long time ago, for sure. So, again, like we said earlier, I hope Oda adds some extra context for that reasoning, because it does feel a little weird right now. Aaron with the, I believe these are the SAR. You gave 10 SARs. I believe those are the Saudi riyals, right? Is that correct? I don't want to look it up, but I'm getting better at learning the currency. I think those are the riyals. Shanks and Gaban confirmed the time difference finally. Yeah, that I love a lot of the chapter for a lot of reasons, but that kind of stuff here, like this little convo between Shanks and Gaban, and like how they're just confirming certain things, like the timeline, or even, let me go find it, or like I talked about with Shanks talking about Buggy, like these little reminders or confirmations or whatever to kind of touch on things we already knew, but to sort of weave it together from their perspective, I think is just so cool. And also, Gaban being like, hey, remember Little Garden when we met Dory and Brogy? Like, reminiscing on the past a little bit like that. Like I said, I was also hoping we were going to get more. Like, I thought they were going to talk about them meeting Dory and Brogy, and I was going to be so pumped to get that little flashback. But that was a really cool discussion they had, and the way that Oda kind of weaved in some reminders and confirmations was really cool. And also this little gag here with Shanks being like, oh, I've got a story about Gaban. Anytime we made it to a port, there were who knows how many, and probably, women coming to flock over to him or whatever. I think that's pretty cool. That was such a good little flashback there. Mr. Bushido with the €2 super chat. How long left do you think is left for this plot line? By plot line, do you mean like the flashback itself that we're in, like the Harold's adventures or Harold's past? As far as that, well, I guess maybe you mean plot line even going back to like Loki explaining himself. Maybe that whole plot line, like until Loki's freed or he exonerates himself. I feel like this flashback's only going to be a couple chapters because like you relate it, like you think back to like Odin or Roger and stuff like that. Like they had really long flashbacks. Compared to like vast majority of characters, and Harold's like really important, but I don't know if there's enough to tell for him for Oda to milk more than 1 or 2 chapters. Which, if we get a full chapter of Harold, like if the next chapter is an entire Harold flashback chapter, that means we already have more flashback for Harold than we have for Kaido, and that's a problem. And I'm sure Oda's got some Kaido stuff cooking somewhere. It might even be with this Harold stuff if Harold is really Kaido's dad, which is an agenda that I've been pushing for a while. I know there's a lot of people saying that, but I don't know. If we have a couple chapters of Harold already and he out flashbacks Kaido this early, that's gonna be pretty bad for my boy Kaido, I gotta say. But hopefully he weaves it in. If they do weave it in to where maybe Harold, we get into the part of Harold's flashback where he has kids, and maybe we heard that he had a 3rd kid that he had to ship off. Like that'd be a cool way to kind of tease the Kaido flashback. So maybe there's a way where Oda merges them. But to answer your question, Bushido, how long do I think is left for this plot line? Again, I'm assuming you mean the Loki exonerating himself plotline. I think only a couple chapters. Like, if I had to guess, I think the next chapter is going to be, it's going to start with this flashback and give us like half or 3/4 of the chapter focused on this, and then we'll get back to Loki and Harudean like fist bumping, like, all right, man, let's go do this, like something like that. Maybe it'll be 2 chapters where maybe we get 1 full flashback, and then the next chapter will be what I just said. So only a couple, I think. I don't think this will take very long, if I had to guess. But I won't be mad if I'm wrong, because flashbacks cook. You guys know this. Like, Oda's flashbacks are just top tier. You know, Egghead with Kuma's flashback. Like, it was crazy how we had, you know, the Gorosei pulling up, all this crazy stuff going on in Egghead. We're protecting Vegapunk. Vegapunk's knows Void Century stuff, like all this stuff. And then we just paused for a solid, like, 7 chapters to go over Kuma's flashback. I think we're kind of at that point. But again, I don't know if Harold has enough importance or enough build-up to really be as long as like a Kuma flashback, because we love Kuma, and that also was also the Bonnie flashback and was also a little bit of a Rev Army thing. So if this lasts more than a couple chapters, Oda's going to have to weave in a lot of other stuff to make that work, I think. Smooth Weeb with the Canadian $5. Shanks, the golden boy trope, excels at everything, tied or second best in every position of his crew. So much potential, it seemed he was child of destiny. Yeah, I'm actually so glad you brought that up, because that line where he says, like, you're a child of destiny, I'm going to go back and go find that again. Understandable, you were a child of destiny, but let's not dwell on tricky topics today, Shanks. So do you guys think that's just, like, kind of like you're saying, is that just the, is that just a general golden boy trope? Like, is it just that Shanks is so good at everything and, you know, has his head on straight? Like, is it just that he was talented and smart? Or is there more to it in the sense of, like, you know, Scopper knows everything from Laugh Tale and knows some of the future and stuff like that. Does he know a thing or two about Shanks and how important he is? Because you also think back to Roger talking to Shanks and giving, we don't know what he said yet, but it made Shanks cry. And so I wonder if there's actually more to it than just, you know, him like you said, the golden boy trope. Is it just that, or is it maybe they learned a little more about him, especially in the context of him giving the Nika fruit to Luffy? Like, did he, was he destined to be the one to find the next Nika or something like that? I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Because Shanks obviously is really good at everything, or most things, right? He's really powerful, reasonable, chill guy. He's got all that going for him. But it would be kind of cool if there was more to it. And if there is more to it, like there's actually a destiny angle, like the whatever is it, Laugh Tale, the One Piece, maybe it actually told Gaban, oh yeah, Shanks is going to do a really important thing. I feel like that important thing is going to end up with him dying in some way. I don't know if it's against Blackbeard or how it's going to work, but I feel like that's maybe where his destiny lies, is like, yes, he's great at everything, but his final act is really what his destiny is. I wonder what Oda's cooking there. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici with the £5 super chat. 5-6 equal Go Moo. I bet on having a massive lore drop 4 chapters from now. Oh, because we're at 11:52. Oh, so now 11:50. Oh, you might be cooking there, because I don't know if that's necessarily math piece. If you guys are familiar with Randy Troy's math piece theory, which if you guys haven't watched that video, you definitely should, because Oda does line up the numbers in certain ways sometimes. And this one's 11:56, so we've obviously had 10:56, 9:56, 8:56. So there's a lot of 56s. So it's hard to say if this one will necessarily rise to the occasion of being a true Gomu related chapter. But the fact that we just had a little Shanks flashback, and we're going through a flashback from far in the past, and we just had a little bit of a teaser for this legendary Devil Fruit of Elbaf. It does feel like if Oda was going to use any 5-6 chapter to have a big Gomu discussion, it should be right now. Because I don't know if you're going to have a better setup 100 chapters from now. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's going to be Shanks talking about it, or Scopper talking about it, or even Harold talking about it. But that's a good call out, Vlad. Seriously. That's if there was a 5-6 chapter to talk about the Gomu, it's this one for sure. Lonely Mage with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much, bro. Backstory time. Prepare the tissues. Also look at Shank's arm tattoo. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can... Where can I find this? He's got a sleeve up there. Sleeve. Is it where he's in the bath? Oh! Ooh, ooh, ooh! Woo-hoo-hoo! Is that the same thing that Summers had? Is that the same thing? That's gotta be the basis of like a million theories. Like y'all are gonna have so many videos related to this. I wasn't even gonna do a video on this chapter, but now I don't know if I'll do it on this thing, but I need to. I might have to. There's too much. Okay, so we got that on his left arm. That's obviously the arm that he lost. And now, this is actually something I brought up before we knew that Shamrock was the one appearing, because I was actually saying, and maybe this is still carrying weight, but I brought up that idea that he may have purposely lost his arm so that he can't be controlled or whatever. Now, we don't really know how this mark works exactly, right? So we're kind of taking a stab in the dark in a lot of ways, but I'm wondering if, like, the way that he says, I bet my arm on the new era, I think a lot of us just took that as, like, like, he knew how important Luffy was, and he was okay to give up his arm to make sure that he lived and could bring, usher in a new dawn. I think that's kind of the base understanding that we've always had. But if he had this mark there and he lost it when he did that, now I'm wondering if there's more to it. Like, was that a source of power for Shanks? You know what I mean? Like, whenever he went to the Holy Land, did he tap into these abyss powers? Did he sign up? Did he go get the mark? Did he meet Emu? And who knows how that all works? But did he do that for some kind of power-up, and then maybe he realized, this ain't for me? Then you would think the God's Knights wouldn't be happy with him getting the powers and then leaving, or you think Emu would do something to him if that was possible. But the fact that he gave it up and said, I bet my arm on the new era, it's making me think that this is just a power-up that he could tap into, and he gave it up. And he was already scarred by this point, So he already fought Blackbeard. So I'm wondering if maybe the first time he fought Blackbeard, he had this mark, so he was able to get out of there alive because he used that. Like, maybe he couldn't beat Blackbeard without using it, so he got out. But now that he gave it up, he knows the next time he fights Blackbeard, he probably won't be able to win. And I'm sure Blackbeard has some special sauce as well, of course. I don't know if it's another mark like this or what, but it's making me think that he gave up this power-up to, like, all right, Luffy, I'll let you live even if it means Blackbeard's going to kill me. That's kind of the angle I'm thinking, and I love that. That's awesome, man. That is an awesome catch. I can't believe I didn't catch that. That's huge. That is genuinely huge. ADNX. You said Shanks cut his ties with Marijua once he found out the next Joy Boy. I love that idea. Genuinely love it. But I gotta say, the way you spelled Marijua, I did not think you were saying Marijua. If all you have to do, you're only 2 letters away from marijuana there, my friend. So that is where I thought you were going with that, which is what caught my eye at first. But now that I actually read the idea, I actually love the idea too. That, like, he went up there, maybe he got the Abyss mark, and then maybe he found out a little bit of the future, like who Nika is, when Nika's coming, what Nika's supposed to do, like just a little bit about Nika, and or who this kid, what this kid's supposed to be, where he's supposed to be, something where he can go find him and unlock him. It would be cool if that's where he's like, all right, I'm out. I came what I got for. And maybe he had to get this mark in exchange. I don't really know how all that works, but Shanks been off the green for a bit. Shanks is way too chill to not. Actually, you know what? Yeah, Shanks went to Marijua the way you spelled it, ADNX. Oh no, you said my bad. No, it's all good. No, you're all good. It was funny, but Shanks is so chill. He might spell Marijua the same way as you. Honestly, I think you might be right. And where was I? Lonely Mage was the last one I read. Kuya Pixels. Member for 21 months. Solid 9 out of 10 chapter. Absolutely cinema. Hype on hype. Agreed. I would probably give this one a 9. And I'm trying to be judicial with my ratings. I feel like I go 9 like every week. I gotta maybe rethink the system, but immediate feeling 9 out of 10 for me. It was just one of the best setup chapters in a long time. Kush Daddy, my guy, with the $5 super chat. I think it would be cool if Sanji got Conquerors, but I think it would be interesting if he found a way outside of it to damage the Gods Knights. I love both of those. Like, that's a really good idea. So maybe this arc, maybe Sanji finds another way to get through to them, but then later he gets Conquerors for like other applications, but this time, just specifically right now, since he doesn't have it, he has to make do. And it could even be a situation where whatever he does to get around it and to beat the Gods Knights lets him unlock Conqueror's Haki later. Like, for example, maybe he figures this out now and is able to fight the Gods Knights, and then later he fights someone who doesn't have immortality, but where that new ability doesn't work as well, so he just has to get regular Conquerors, and it's like a stepping stone for him. I really like that. And I do think Sanji will get it eventually, but what you just said, it makes me not want him to get it this arc. And it could work where he does, and I'd be happy with it. Like, I'm not going to be mad, but now that you said that, because Sanji's like a outside-the-box thinker, right? He's the kind of guy, like, in Skypiea, he's the one who snuck into the inner workings of the Arc Maxim to mess with it. He had the Mr. Prince moment, right? He's that guy who's like sneaky, thinks outside the box, whatever. He also, remember when he stopped Kizaru's laser and said something about how love is the most powerful thing, and then Kizaru said you have to rewrite the physics book, something like that. Sanji is always kind of an outside the box guy. He's the only guy in the series who catches his legs on fire to fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I actually would really like that. I don't know what it would be. Like, maybe like the love hockey thing. Like, maybe it's not Conquerors, but just he has so much love in him. Maybe it works naturally. And that would actually be a cool thing too. What if Zoro can't, even though Zoro has Conquerors, what if he can't hurt the Gods Knights, but then Sanji does find a way? even and Sanji does it without conquerors. So there's this cool debate where it's like, wait, I have conquerors. I'm supposed to be able to do this. And Sanji's like, no, well, you gotta learn more tricks, my friend. And so I think that would be really cool, because I don't think Zoro is really the kind of guy who, like, if love is an angle to it, I don't think Zoro's the kind of guy who has that kind of love in him to do it without learning it first. You know what I mean? Like, he's not the guy who would just love just because that's just who he is. But Sanji is that kind of guy. So that might be interesting to kind of juxtapose those. And it could go back to what I was saying with, like, this I don't know, argument that might be boiling between Zoro and Luffy, at least that I feel is coming. And it would be cool if, like, that's the angle. Like, Zoro, where's your love at? Like, he's sitting here making fun of Luffy in the Shanks thing, and also he was making fun of or just angry at Luffy over the Vegapunk thing as well. And it's like, that's how Luffy shows love. You know what I mean? He just met Vegapunk, but he made a promise to him, and he learned that Vegapunk is close to a bunch of people, and he's important, that he's helped people, and all that. Like Luffy cares for him. That's why he's upset, is he cares. And same thing with Shanks. Like, he loves Shanks. That's his role model. He wants to see Shanks again. Every time he hears him, that's all he thinks about. And Zoro doesn't think the same way. And so this could all be a really good way of tackling these kind of meta character elements that Oda's laid out for all these people. Because, and I mentioned this 100 times, but I'm going to say it again. Whenever Luffy was fighting Katakuri, and Rayleigh's like, hey, how are you going to beat these guys who can see the future and all this stuff? Luffy's like, well, it depends what kind of person they are, right? He cares about people's personality. Luffy pays attention to who they are on an individual basis, where Zoro's kind of more objective about it all. Like, okay, this is an enemy. I got to defeat him. Let's move on. That's his whole thing. So I don't know. Oda's got some really cool plot lines going right now, for sure. K Raven with the $10. Did you notice the mark on Shanks' elbow or tricep? Not until a little bit ago, but crazy. Let's have some fun theory crafting. That's the mark of the Abyss. Harold likely changed because of losing a fight to Rocks and learned the true history. So I agree that that's the mark of the Abyss, or it's a very good chance. It's 99.9. If it's not, I don't even know what else it would be, So, and you also said Harold likely changed because of losing a fight to Rocks and learned the true history. So I got to think about that a little bit. So, because Harold was sailing around 109 years ago up until, I don't know at what point he would have stopped sailing necessarily, but he would have been sailing for a while. And so would he have fought Rocks is what I'm thinking. Because, like, Rocks pulled up to Elbaf and beat Loki when Loki was a kid. And that was... Did we have a time for that? Was that, like, 50-something years ago? I don't know. Something like that. And so, I guess, would Harold have fought him there? And then Harold sided with the people who beat Rocks, as Loki said. And so that does make me feel like Harold and Rocks probably weren't the best of friends. So I'm guessing they would have had to have fought, prior to 38 years ago, obviously, if that did happen. But why would he have torn his horns out? I know it had something to do with his ancient giant lineage and all that, but I'm wondering how that could tie in too, because we see him with the horns here. I don't know. That's an interesting thing to think about, Harold and Rocks. And he also said learned the true history. I don't know if Harold would have had a chance to learn the true history unless, like, Scopper told him. Scopper knows, more than Rocks ever did, at least to our knowledge, because Rocks didn't go find the One Piece, like, from what we know. And so he wouldn't have known as much as the Roger Pirates. But he still probably knew some stuff, because he was involved in the taboos of the world, as Sengoku said. And that usually means Poneglyph, Void Century information, right? So I don't know. That's one of those things I'd probably have to think about for a while to, like, match up some of the little things we've been we've been told. Smooth Weeb, and I know this is tying back to your earlier super chat. You say because he got Domi reversied from bad to good. Like, the thing with going bad to good is, like, I don't know if Emu would, like, Emu should know that. You know what I mean? Like, Emu should have a good grasp for, like, okay, if I use this on somebody, what's going to happen to him? Well, and another thing, too, is that they do turn evil, but they also seem to, like, listen to Emu's commands, right? Because Emu was like, go and, tell Elbaf that you're the new king, and, you know, you're going to go kill King Harold, or King Jarl, or Elder Jarl, sorry. He's essentially the king, I guess, right now, but... So there's also that angle, so it's like, you would think Emu would have a good grasp for, like, hey, before I use this, I better make sure that I'm actually going to get to control them, or whatever. So it's interesting. It's like I said, I really love that idea. I'm not sure how that would work exactly, especially in this context. It could also be that, you know, going with your idea, maybe Harold was bad, and then maybe he met Rox and lost and saw how bad Rox was, and maybe that somehow, you know, led to some sort of change at some point, or maybe he needed a Domi Reversi for a power-up. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but that's interesting. All of this is interesting. I'm excited to see what theories, like full, you know, theory videos or Reddit theories or whatever people make on this. I feel like people are going to have some really good things that I'm forgetting in regards to all this. Mr. Bushido with the €5. If Loki joins, which I doubt, there's only one way I think it works. He has the shrink fruit the giant Lily had in that filler arc that set up Film Z. And, you know, it's interesting you say that, because remember Biblo essentially does that, right? Or he does the opposite. He enlarges the books, right? Or yeah, because I can't remember exactly. If they're already big, whatever it is, he changes the size. I can't remember exactly, but you know, we already had that whole thing where he changes the size so that the books can be read by giants and humans alike, or whatever, in the library. And so that's, and we don't know what Loki's devil fruit is, so his devil fruit could enable him to change size. And now I'm starting to wonder if Loki just has the Biblo no Mi. And I'm only half joking, because obviously it wouldn't be the Biblo no Mi. But a lot of people have been saying that Loki's going to have a bird fruit of some kind, because he has the wings tattooed on his chest. And if you go back to Kaido, he had the dragon scales on his chest, and he ended up having the dragon fruit. So with Loki here being, you know, an ancient giant type guy, has the horns and all that stuff, a little bit of a Kaido connection in that way. Is there a chance that, you know, he has a bird fruit that relates to that? And there's been some really good ideas that people have super chatted before. But now I'm wondering if he just has a special owl fruit that changes sizes of things. Because that, I don't know if there's an owl in mythology that changes sizes. I mean, Biblo would probably be based on him, but maybe it's just a bigger version of Biblo. I don't know. I really like that idea. The Biblo no Mi. Owls can shapeshift, ADNX said. That is true. I forgot about that. I think I mentioned that in my Lafitte video. I forgot about that. Good call out. I wonder if I should do a video on that. Has somebody already done a video on him having a shape-shifting owl fruit? Because if not, I don't know. I really like that. I'm like a huge fan of that idea now. Smooth Weeb, I saw your chat here. I wanted to touch on this. You said maybe if there's black magic, there's also white magic. Because Harold did a 180 of being scum to being a good guy, considered a god. That's interesting. Because you think back to Luffy and Bonnie. And I think a lot of people have said this by now, so you guys have probably heard it, where maybe Luffy and Bonnie will have to go on each side of the Domi Reversied people to flip them back. And I don't know if they'll flip to normal or if they'll flip to like a Gear 5 version. I kind of hope they just flip back to normal, to be honest with you. But that would kind of be like white magic or freedom magic. I don't know, that's kind of cringe, but, you know, something like that. It does seem to, and I don't know if it necessarily is magic, but it might just be like will and freedom in general, like not any kind of magic sorcery stuff, just general good vibes, I guess, is a way to put it, you know, because that's kind of been Luffy's thing, or just like hockey will, right? There's that magic angle. It could just be that, where if you have like positive hockey, like you're trying to help, that could also maybe take over in this form of like white magic kind of thing. So that's interesting. And your point about Harold doing a 180 of being scum to being a good guy considered a god, you know, I think for me at least, and I could be wrong, but I'm getting the vibe that it's more like when he was sailing around, the world knew him as scum, but then, you know, once he like took over as king of Elbaf and actually focused on improving the island, then he got kind of more you know, revered in a positive way. So it's not that he ever necessarily became good, but it's just more that the world didn't like him because he went around messing stuff up as a pirate, but then Elbaf reveres him as good because he, you know, led them to new heights. So he, you know what I mean? So maybe his personality didn't change. It's just that he went and, you know, had a more Elbaf focus. But that's how I kind of read it. But I like your idea so much that I kind of hope I'm wrong and that he actually did get positive reversied. You know, I think that would just be just such a cool plot line. Kuya Pixels with the $5 super chat. Loki joining would ruin the monster trio. He'll easily be the number 2 of the crew. Also, the ship is too small for him unless he has some shrinking fruit. Yeah, the monster trio point is good too, because that's kind of the thing with Jinbei, where Jinbei's like bounty is higher, and he is roughly in the same, you know, strength level as like Zoro and Sanji. So there's like this debate, I guess you could say, like, oh, is there a new monster trio? Has the monster trio, you know, have one of them been replaced or whatever? And I think that's more gag at this point. Like, that's not a real, you know, issue. I love Jinbei very much, but I would bet money that Sanji will very clearly be the second strongest of the crew by the end. And he probably already is. It's just the bounty doesn't reflect it, which is the point of the gag. But, you know, we know who the wings of the Pirate King are, right? And they got to be the top 2. And that's also kind of the issue with Yamato joining. And I think that's a big reason why Oda didn't have Yamato join yet, because I am a believer that Yamato will come back and join the crew eventually. Because Yamato would legitimately be maybe the second strongest. Like, Zoro and Yamato are probably pretty close. I mean, Yamato has like weaponized Conqueror's Haki. Remember when Yamato took out Hacha? Was that his name? I think he was number 8. One of the numbers. Remember how Yamato like one-shotted him, like hit him like from a distance with like a Haki. I don't even know what you call it. Just like Yamato just swung the club. And so like that kind of stuff is like, okay, Yamato might be like a little bit too much, but like let's give the crew a little bit more time to grow, and then, you know, Yamato will understand that who the monster trio really is. So I don't know. I agree. Loki he seems to be too strong to join. Like he would be he's almost Luffy level, it feels like. Like if only Shanks could take him down, it feels like Luffy would have a really hard time taking him down. So yeah. No Poppy with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you for coming back, bro. Thank you very much. I hope Rock stole the fruit so my theory can come true. Yeah, dude, it's funny. While I was reading this, that your theories did come to mind a little bit with the God Valley stuff and the Shank stuff. I was thinking about those because I know we talked about those last week for quite a while. But yeah, if Rock stole the fruit, that would be interesting. And how? Well, I guess the problem is this was 14 years. Well, so he would have had to have stolen it first, and then it would have to come back into their grasp, right? Because this was 14 years ago, and Rox died 38 years ago. So if Rox had Elbaf's fruit, the situation, and maybe that's why Harold stopped being a pirate to a degree. And it said he was 45 when Harold began his reign at 45 years of age, just 15 in human terms. So when it says reign, does that mean like as the king of Elbaf, or as one of the people of the New Giant Warrior pirates? I'm curious on that, because that timeline kind of matters here. But to go back to your theory, it would, if Rox did get Elbaf's fruit, maybe whenever we saw him beat Loki, maybe he went and beat Harold and took the fruit, and then maybe Harold was like, okay, well, I got to start making some changes of some kind. Like, I don't know what he would have done. Maybe without that fruit, maybe that's where the Domi Reversi stuff comes in, where maybe he feels like he had to work with the government because Rox took it, something like that. But then I guess after Rox died, he would have had to get it back somehow. I don't know. I still love the idea that Rock's got a hold of it though. I don't know how the timeline works, but that idea is so fire. I'm a huge fan. And now Loki has it, and that would just be so cool. Straw Hat AP with the $2 super chat. Lafitte killed Harold. Like the stream, bro. Straw Hat AP, if some of your theories come true, I'm gonna go bankrupt sending you so many flowers. Like, if Lafitte killed Harold, I'm gonna buy a whole flower orchard. I don't know what you call it, flower conservatory. I don't know, and I'm gonna name it Straw Hat AP Conservatory if that comes true, because I love Lafitte, and with Lafitte sneaking into places and him having a secret backstory and stuff, I would not be shocked if he was at Elbaf at some point. But killing Harold, I feel like that's a little bit much for Lafitte. Like, I have my boy Brooke fighting Lafitte later when the Straw Hat and Blackbeard pirates fight. And if Lafitte killed Harold and Brooke's got to fight Lafitte, Brooke is about to die a second time. So I really hope that's not what happens. But like I said, I will buy a flower conservatory, or what? No, oh, the name just came to me and I forgot it. I know there's a different term for it. I just can't think of what it's called. It's killing me. Arboretorium, Lost Sauce McGee said that's another good word. I was thinking of another one. Botanical garden. That's what I was looking for. Botanical garden. Straw Hat AP, I'm going to buy you an entire botanical garden named Straw Hat AP Gardens. If that happens. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Will flashback cover the wedding with Lola? Ooh, see, I love that you brought that up, because I need that part of the backstory. I need it. Like, not want, but need. All caps need. I don't know if this flashback would do it, because if that happens, that would be a post-Herald thing, because Lola is only, let me look it up. I think she's like 20, 24 maybe, something like that. 24 pre-time skip, 26 after the time skip. So this was all 14 years ago, which means Lola was 12. So that was definitely before the wedding. So Loki had the wedding thing after Harold got killed. And so I don't know if that'll be part of the flashback, because those seem to be kind of separate events. Like, it seems like we're kind of focused on the Harold element right now, and then we'll probably get to Lola later. Hopefully Lola shows up, which I would absolutely love. So I doubt it, even though I really, really want to see that. Good Vibrations, member for 31 months. 31, dude. That's absolutely insane. That's not a real number. We out here, about a rewinded witness peak, bro. Thank you. I don't know if you're caught back up yet, but whenever you get to this moment, good vibes. Thank you for bringing the good vibes. For 31 months, over 2.5 years. That's not real, man. That is not real. Seriously, thank you very much. Also, Brandon King, I saw you in the chat say, Heat on Feet, Savage season. Shout out Randy Troy. Heat on Feet was a legendary moment in the Savage crew timeline. But I've actually been thinking about that song that his cousin made, Heat on Feet. But anyway, good vibes. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the whatever you're watching right now, because you're probably not caught up. Also, I see JJ in the chat. JJ, appreciate you for sliding in, my man. I don't have to give you any slander for your boy today. He hasn't been mentioned in a while, so yeah, that means One Piece has been going really well. We haven't had to hear about Topman for a while, so we honestly haven't seen Laboon either, which is really sad. So this chapter could have been a 10 if Laboon was in it. But JJ, you said I want that shirt deck. Hey, Anime NYC, man, Anime NYC. I think pretty much any anime convention would have it. They had like all the different kind of One Piece characters. A Straw Hat one, there's a Whitebeard one, there's a Blackbeard one. I think there was probably a Shanks one or something. So I'm a big fan of this for sure. Also, JJ, seeing you in the chat also just reminded me of something that I wanted to say earlier, but and I'm gonna get back to the super chats, I promise. I know I got a lot to get through, but I just want to say, did you all see that the NBA Finals are going to Game 7? Game 7 are the two best words in all of sports, in my opinion. And some people, maybe they're going to say Super Bowl or March Madness or something. I don't know. But for me, Game 7, I don't care who the two teams are. Game 7 in the NBA Finals is hype. Even if you're not a basketball fan, you should just tune in. It's legendary stuff most of the time. The last Game 7, was the Cavs and Warriors Game 7, the Game 7, the one that us Cavs fans remember very well. But now we got another one, so I just wanted to mention that. You reminded me. Can't wait. Genuinely can't wait for that. JR Writer 203 with a $5 super chat. Is Shanks implying that he hasn't been a pirate since the Roger days? I know he recruited Yassop 13 years ago, so Shanks might not have a crew yet here. Did he really recruit Yassop 13 years ago? Not that I doubt you, but I'm just gonna double check, because if that's actually true. Haven't found a good source yet. It says that having come to Yassop's home island to recruit him shortly after the execution of Roger. That's what this says. So I'm not sure. Well, whenever I Googled it, the AI answer did say it was 13 years, but then whenever I go to Yassop's wiki page, it doesn't give me. Hold on, one more Google search. Because if that lines up that well. Yassop first met Shanks in Syrup Village 2 years after Goldie Rogers' execution. Shanks had heard of Yassop's sniping skills and recruited Yassop to join his crew. Yassop is shown to be very loyal to his captain, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it doesn't give any. So it's saying, so that was 20-something years ago. But Shanks would have been like, hold on. So Shanks is what, 39? So he would have been like, yeah, he would have been 17. So that does line up. But 2 years after Roger's execution isn't 13 years ago, though. Huh. It's weird that the AI also said 13 years, though, so there's obviously somewhere that it's pulling that from. Did Shanks go and, like, meet Yassop but didn't get him to join until later? Like, they met up and were friends, but he didn't actually leave till later? I'm not exactly sure. But if that... Always Sunny, you said Chapter 0 is when Shanks recruited Yassop 22 years ago. Okay, so it was 22. So Shanks already had a crew by this point. Because I was going to say, if it lines up where after this, Shanks went and got his crew. But, I mean, that doesn't make sense because of... because, I mean, we already saw him with Luffy... what was that? That was 12 years ago. He already had the whole crew, so I guess he would have had to get them really quick. So, yeah, I don't think it was 13 years ago that he recruited him, but it's weird that the AI gave me that same answer. Anyways, but what you were talking about was Shanks implying that he hasn't been a pirate since the Roger days. It is interesting because he went to Marijois, right? And you would think that he would kind of have to give up his pirating for a while or something. To, like, if he's still an active pirate or emperor, like, I don't know if the God's Knights would happily welcome him in. Maybe they would. I mean, they invited Loki, which kind of ruins my whole perception of this. So I think more so what he's saying is like, let me go find the exact dialogue. So he said, I honestly just wanted to be a carefree pirate with Buggy. And I think what he's saying there is more like, yeah, I wanted to just go and be a pirate in adventure and probably go find the One Piece and things like that. Like, that's what most pirates do. Like, I want to just go have fun with my friends and whatever. But I feel like what he is getting at is there's a bigger thing that he's, listening to. Like a bigger message, a bigger destiny, whatever, a bigger fate. Like, there's something that's drawing him away from just being a normal carefree pirate. It's like he's being a pirate in the context of, I have a mission to do, right? At least that's the vibe I'm getting. But I'm all for the Shanks build up, though. I'm all for it. I don't know where this is going exactly, but also I see in the chat we're talking about Air Bud and LeBron James. Those are the those are my two goats right there, for sure. JJ said the only animals I care for are on my plate. Honestly, yeah, especially when you when you get that pulled pork, you know. I know, or those pork chops. That's got to be your favorite, right? Maybe that carnitas at Chipotle. That's your favorite. At least that's my favorite form of your favorite animal. Sorry, lost track of where I was. Where am I at? Where am I? Okay, there we go. Alejandro Solis, member for 19 months. Gear 5 can take scar or tattoos. Shanks got his mark off. That's interesting. That because remember in Egghead when Luffy I forget exactly what was happening. I think it was actually Topman's roar, which is perfect timing because JJ's here. We're just talking some trash about Topman. But whenever Topman did his roar, I'm pretty sure that's what knocked Luffy's scar off. And now, is that just fun gags that don't mean anything? I think that's definitely a possibility because Gear 5 is super wacky and Oda's trying all different ways to make it feel really fun and unique and, you know, very cartoony. So I could see that just being like kind of like a nothing burger in the grand scheme of things. But the fact we saw it happen does give some credence to what you're saying. So it would be interesting if Shanks was able to like remove his scar otherwise, or Luffy does that, right? Or with the current ones. I mean, like maybe these current God's Knights that are on the island get their tattoos removed from Gear 5th, and then they can't tap into these powers anymore. That would be so fire if that happened. That would just be, it would just be so funny and random. I'm actually with that. Always Sunny in any slobby with a $5 super chat. I'm an hour behind. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys. Probably nothing, but interesting how the Royal Giant Guard's weapons of choice are the same as Whitebeard's weapon, and a lot of people think he was a Buccaneer. That's interesting to point out for sure. I didn't even really think about that. And what's funny is Harold doesn't have a weapon like that. Harold has the sword that's in Jarl's head, obviously. And Dory and Brogy also don't use those. But if you go to the guard, you're right. It does look like they're almost all... what's that called? What is Whitebeard's weapon called? I know Murakomogiri is the name. It's a Naginata. That's what it's called. Naginata. Yeah, so they all have Naginatas. That is interesting. I didn't really think about that. And you're right that there's the whole Buccaneer thing with Whitebeard, which I'm big on because him and Kuma as kids looked pretty similar, and obviously they ended up being, you know, quite different looking whenever they got older, but who knows exactly what their lineage is as far as like pure Buccaneer versus half Buccaneer, you know, whatever. So that is interesting. I don't know. Like you said, it might be nothing. Like I'm not exactly sure what to take from this. Like I don't know if Whitebeard prefers these weapons for the same reason as them, like they're all from the same descendants or for the same lineage or whatever. But that is really interesting you brought that up. That I like that. K Raven with the $5 super chat. Zoro is the one in the crew to judge if someone will betray the crew, and one of these times it's going to happen. Perhaps like Rox or Joy Boy. So you think eventually someone will betray the crew? Because like if someone were to betray the crew, I think it would have to be in a like a hypnotism or a cloning way. Like you think back to like Bon Clay pretending to be Usopp, and then he was kind of betraying the crew because they thought he was Usopp, but then Vivi realized it wasn't him because he was acting a little bit different or whatever. Like, because for me, I'm not sure if a crew member ever will betray the crew. I do think there will become a point where they have such differing opinions that maybe Zoro will feel that way. Like, oh, hey, if you do this, I'm so against it. I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can stick around if we do that. That I could see, which, like, again, that's not betrayal, but it's just Zoro feels like maybe they're pushing the line too much. So I don't know. We have to see how the situation kind of pans out there. Because like I said, if it's a hypnotism thing, if it's a cloning thing, that's like very different. But if it's, with like the Usopp thing, like if they just accepted Usopp back, is that betrayal kind of? Because Usopp left the crew and he promised to be with the crew forever, and he left, so he doesn't get to rejoin for free. So there was already kind of betrayal. It's like, you know, I use that word a little loosely because I think when people think of betrayal, they mean like literal traitorous activities, which, you know, it's a little bit of a gray area. So, but I do feel like something's brewing, though. I agree with you on that point. Like, something is going to happen here with the Zoro stuff. Is it that Zoro ends up being right and everyone's got to stop being, you know, like, stop worrying about all this stuff? Possibly. Is it that he's wrong and he's got to get put in his place? Possibly. Is it that Zoro disagrees with them so much that he leaves the crew temporarily like Usopp did, and he's the one who's got to come back apologizing? Maybe. That's actually the one I prefer the most, because I think that would be the strongest plot line. Like, that would make us really feel something if Zoro was so, you know, upset about the situation that he did that, because we know how serious he is. But then for him to realize he's wrong, I think that would just be a really powerful thing. Now, it would kind of fly in the face of who he's been this whole time. So there's that, you know, Oda would have to really do it the right way, I think. But you also said perhaps like Rox and Joy Boy. I assume you're saying like if they got betrayed, because we do know that Zunisha committed a great crime that seemed to have done something against Joy Boy, or at least the good guys in the past. And now, is that like a betrayal, or is that a, you know, like if Zunisha is really like the Chopper of Joy Boy's crew, which is what I think the situation is. We know how gullible Chopper is. Like, Chopper literally fell for the fake Straw Hats. So if Zunisha's like that, could Zunisha have been fooled into thinking that, you know, somebody was Joy Boy when they weren't, and so Zunisha did something wrong? I think that's very possible. But now, is that betrayal? Again, it's kind of a gray area. So that's why I use that very loosely. But I do think something's coming where one of the Straw Hats does something that hurts Luffy, whether they mean to or not. I do think that's going to happen, or hurts Luffy, or hurts the crew, hurts Elbaf, whatever. I do think that's coming. So I don't know. I think it'd be really interesting if it's Zoro who does that, though, because Zoro, like you said, Zoro's the one who's usually kind of like policing that. Like, hey, like, we're not, you know, we gotta stay on the mission here. We got to be focused. We're not playing games, you know, whatever. But if he's the one who has to go through this, and he's the one who kind of betrays Luffy, I think that's just, I think that would cook so hard if Oda did it the right way. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Mr. Bushido with the €5. I don't think the time warp theory is true, as Scopper does look 10 years older. I think Howard Dean never asked Loki's story because he never liked Loki. As for the time warp theory, that's a good point, because I know a lot of people have been talking about that. And actually, it's funny. So I didn't get spoiled on anything, but I did see. I don't even remember where I saw it, because I try to delete this from memory if I ever see anything remotely about the chapter. But I saw it was either a YouTube title or a Reddit post title or something like that, where they mentioned like time dilation something, chapter 1152, and I was, I'm not looking at anything. And so in my head I was like, okay, I don't know if this chapter is going to talk about time dilation, or if maybe this person's basing a theory off of what they saw. Like, you know, I just deleted it. I just tried not thinking about it very much. But now that you say that, it is coming back to me that I don't know what their theory was. I never looked at it. I just saw the title. And so it's interesting, because I don't know what they were saying, but that the timeline for the time warp thing, it does seem to be a little rocky at this point, now that we see, you know, their aging and them talking about the timelines of things here. I mean, I guess there's still a chance, but I don't know what at this point I don't know what Louis Arnault's message was about, to be honest with you. I don't know. But and then you also said, I think Howard Dean asked Loki story, or he never asked Loki's story because he never liked Loki. I think that's true, but you would still imagine that if this is your brother and someone killed your dad, or this is your brother and your brother killed your dad, you would at least want the story from him, right? Because like, the reason he's never liked Loki from a kid, but the reason why like everybody hates Loki and why he's like an outcast and locked up and all that is because of the Herald thing. And you would kind of imagine that he would just want that info, even if he doesn't like him. It's like not because he cares about Loki or wants to protect him, but because he wants the story about his dad. Like, hey dude, like how did this really go down? Like how did you kill dad? Like, not even, you know, he doesn't have to even approach it in a exonerating way. It's just, dude, what did you do to dad? Please tell me. And maybe Loki just refused, and maybe that's what Oda's going to do. Maybe there's multiple examples of Haradin asking and Loki refused, and this time he finally gave in because it's you know, he needs to in order to get free. That might make some sense. I don't know. Whatever happens, I hope Oda at least touches on it, because it does feel weird. Smooth Weep with a Canadian $5. Well, Luffy only stayed to listen to the story because Shanks was mentioned instead of going up to protect his Nakama from the insane haki of Emu. Hold on. I'm gonna go back and check. Oh, I accidentally refreshed, and then I heard my voice, and that hearing my voice while I'm trying to talk is it's like pretty much impossible. I'm gonna go back up and reread this real quick. Trying to find the right moment to jump in here. Okay, so first we got Scopper hyping up the Conqueror's Haki. Luffy's like, I got it, don't worry for me. I'm just looking for like the mentions of Shanks, because I didn't think that's how it worked, but I'm gonna reread and try to check. There's the Conqueror's Haki thing. Alright, no one's mentioned Shanks yet. No one's who's to say you won't side with the government? Okay, Haradin. So Haradin, hurry, we can't let the casualties pile up anymore. Hey Loki, join my crew. And then they're telling him not to. No, I'm not going to join. I can't wait to see how he fights. Haradin, what are you doing? The lift's ready to go. Sorry, Straw Hat, Loki's a condemned criminal in Elbaf. I can't just hand him over to you. Really? Haradin, release Loki. What was that, Yasan? 14 years ago. He explains it. I know, but on that day I felt a strange emanation of haki. Shanks and I went there to investigate, and looking back, it's possible we didn't have the whole story. You went to the castle? Wait, did you say Shanks? So, yeah, I think it's 50-50 about the Shanks thing, because Haradin was staying for the story, right? And Luffy was riding Haradin at the time. And so it's like, definitely Luffy wants to hear the Shanks thing, but I also could see him staying because it's just like Haradin and Loki are staying there, right? Like he wants Loki to be freed, and if Haradin needs to free him or like agree to it before they finally do, then Luffy would kind of have to stay, I feel like, or he would want to figure that out. So I think it's kind of 50-50. Like, because like you can see in the same moment that the Shanks thing's mentioned, Haradin is like, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead without me. So I think it's a little bit 50-50. So, because like, even if Shanks wasn't brought up, I think Luffy would probably stay, or at least Oda would have him stay. So I'm 50-50 on that, on whether he only stayed for that reason. I still think, no matter what, I think Zoro's in the wrong for calling it that dumb Shanks thing. Like, could you imagine Luffy ever telling Zoro that dumb Kuina thing? Like, imagine, like, remember in Logtown when Zoro met Tashigi and he noticed how Tashigi looked like Kuina? Luffy didn't know enough at the time, I feel like, about Zoro to really comment on it. But could you imagine if he grabbed him, was like that dumb Kuina thing again? Like that, it's just, you know, it's just not the right thing you do to your crewmate. You know what I mean? So no matter what, I think something's going on between the two. I'm not, again, it might be that Oda's building a thing where Zoro's in the right, but Zoro's always in the right, so we gotta knock him down a peg, in my opinion. And I mean that nicely, like, you know, obviously Zoro is fan favorite, really strong, but he's talking a lot of smack, like subtly, like under his breath, you know? I feel like it's already percolating, it's gotta start boiling over. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici with the 2 pounds. Check out Shanks' arm. I did, and that shows you how far behind I am, because you probably said that before I talked about how somebody else, you know, super chatted it. So I'm sorry I'm so far behind, guys. But thank you, Vlad. Yeah, Shanks' arm. Crazy. Like that. Crazy. That's the 5D chess stuff from Oda, where he sets that up sort of in chapter 1, where he loses the arm, and now we're figuring it out 1150 chapters later that there may be more to it than him just losing an arm. Like, it's the arm, you know what I mean? Growth Stonks, member for 18 months. Kureha might appear in the Herald flashback. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Oda could really marry the Kureha stuff. Like if Scopper and Chopper do talk about Kureha and Drum Kingdom, he could really marry that with the flashback really, really well, because this says 109 years before the present day, and Kureha is like 140 something, I think. All right, let me double check. 141. So she was 32 already by this point. So if she was ever a doctor on a pirate crew, this would be the time for us to see that, because she would be of the right age to be doing that. That's such a good thought. I'm trying to think of like where that would come in, because I think a lot of people really like the idea that like Kureha was like Rox's doctor, and I personally don't see that, just because she was already over 100 by the time God Valley happened, and like I love Kureha, but like you got to retire eventually. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on now, like that 100 something, that's pretty wild. So, and it's possible, but I feel like that's not likely. But her being a pirate of another crew that preceded Rox, now that is a really good thought. And maybe she's even the doctor of the giant warrior pirates. What if she's on this crew? Like, she wouldn't be, yeah, well, yeah, she could be on it right now. She could be on their crew. So what if she's the pirate or the doctor of this ship? I think that'd be awesome. K Raven with the $5 super chat. Shanks was chased by Mihawk because he was a God's Knight and stopped after he lost the arm connection to Marijwa. So you're saying that, are you saying Shanks was a God's Knight or Mihawk was a God's Knight? Like Shanks was chased by Mihawk because Mihawk was a God's Knight and he was chasing pirates? Or are you saying Mihawk was chasing Shanks as a God's Knight, like once he got this marking, and then once he lost the arm, he didn't really have the abyss powers anymore, so it wasn't the same fight? I'm not exactly sure, because I feel like both are actually possible. So I'm actually just going to go through both options, because I kind of like them, because I think a lot of people have brought up the idea before that Mihawk could be a God's Knight or related to the God's Knights or something like that. But we also know that Mihawk was called Marine Hunter, right, to kind of parallel Zoro's Pirate Hunter epithet. So that's always led me to believe, like, okay, Mihawk was definitely not a like pro establishment guy. You know, he was definitely against the status quo in certain ways. Now, he did end up joining the Warlords, which means he was helping them in some degree. But as we know with the Warlords, they were like they only had like, you know, 1 foot in the pool there. Like they weren't really into it. So I could see a world where like maybe Shanks goes up and gets the mark, and somehow that trigger. Well, how long ago did Shanks go up there? Do we know that? Because was it like right after Roger died? Because that definitely sets up the situation where like maybe he met Mihawk when he was up there, or maybe heard about Mihawk's family because maybe Mihawk left himself or something. That would definitely set up be a good setup for how his connection to Mihawk started. But conversely, it could be that like once Shanks left and he had that mark, maybe Mihawk caught wind like, oh, a God's Knight quit? Like, let me go see what they're all about. And maybe that's how they just started, is he felt like that was a God's Knight that he was allowed to fight, because if he went and fought the world government ones, he might feel like he would lose because there's just too many of them. They have the regeneration. I don't know. But then once Shanks left, maybe that was like his motivation to go almost maybe even get revenge if Mihawk really is from a God's Knight family who left. Maybe he heard that another one left, and he was like, well, let me go see what this guy's about. I don't know. There's room in both angles there. I don't know. And the part you said and stopped after he lost the arm or connection to Marijwa, that's actually really interesting, because we know that after, like, Mihawk, forget exactly what he said, but he's mentioned how, you know, Shanks isn't the same once he lost his arm, or he's not as strong, or, you know, he doesn't want to fight a one-armed swordsman who's like not at the peak of his game, whatever he said. But what if that's all because Shanks doesn't have the power-up from the God's Knights anymore? It's not that he's actually just one-armed, which is a, you know, a nerf in and of itself. But what if that's specifically because he doesn't have that power-up, and now he felt like it's just not worth it for him? Which would really show how strong Mihawk is if that's the case. Like, if Mihawk was able to go toe-to-toe, not just with Shanks, but Shanks with a God's Knight power-up thing, that would be insane, I think. Mr. Bushido super chatted €5. So Gold Roger's son is Ace. Scopper is Colin. Rule of 3. Silver Rayleigh's kid is Boa. There's a snake species called Silver Boa Constrictor. Don't we know that Shaggy isn't Boa's mom? Hasn't that been said? I'm pretty sure that there's not a direct relation between the different people in Amazon Lily. I'm not 100% sure. That whole lineage thing with Amazon Lily is super confusing. Like, just even the way that they like keep enough of a population of women to keep the island protected, because when they don't allow men, it's like how are y'all getting pregnant enough to do that? And furthermore, if you do get pregnant, I mean, maybe you only give birth to women, which would be an easy way to get around this, but like normally it's 50-50, so it's like from a population perspective, you got to have a lot of kids if you're hoping to have an island of only women and sustain the population. So I've always had questions on that personally, but I don't know if we I feel like there's something that said that they aren't. It's not like a direct lineage of princesses, like, you know, where they're all mothers of the next one. But I don't know. And you also said Loki has a bandage on one of his horns. Said horns, like I'm Ivankov with the hormone fruit. Loki has a bandage on one of his horns. Was it cut? Let me go look at that real quick. Yeah, he does, and he had it even back in the day. Does he still have it now? Does my thumbnail? Yeah, so he has it. Yeah, that's interesting. He had the bandage back then, and he still has it now. So yeah, was it cut, and then he just like bandaged it back together? Which I'm like, I feel like you need a little more than tape to do that. You know, this ain't a sprained ankle in the like in the, you know, high school football championship or something. Like you can't tape that one up. I feel like you're gonna need something serious. You gotta weld that back together. But yeah, it is interesting that he had it back then and now. Because like whenever he's walking in to the castle and stuff, like with Jarl, I don't think that's like you know, fresh after a battle. At least I don't think they say that. So yeah, so he has that kind of permanently. So yeah, maybe it was cut at some point, which is a theme that we've seen a lot, right? You think about Onigashima, where like the one horn was cut at the start by Zoro, and then the other one melted by Kaido. Kaido lost one of his horns. I think there's a couple other examples, I believe. I don't know. That's a good catch. That's a good catch. ZMP323 with the $5 super chat. I think meeting Harudine's mom changed Harold for the better, but the world government manipulated his newfound soft side. Okay, I kind of like that. So hold on. How old is Harudine? He's like 81 or something, right? I was right on the money. So you gotta love that. That's when you pay too much attention to One Piece. When you start getting those ages correct. Which honestly, the only reason I knew that is because I remembered that Harudine was 18 when Big Mom was there, and I remember the Big Mom flashback was 63, so that's how I got to 81. I didn't even generally remember, which it's almost worse when I remember those timelines and I can reason it, you know, without memorizing it. But so he would have met Harudine's mom well before Loki's mom. And that would have been 82 years ago, roughly. 81.75 years ago, I guess. And so you're saying maybe he was evil from like 109 years up until he met her, and then having a child and meeting her brought out the soft side, so then he kind of like settled down in Elbaf. That timeline makes some sense. But then the question is, who is Harudine's mom? Right? Like who would that be? Trying to think. One of my first guesses that I thought of was Mother Carmel. Like maybe Mother Carmel actually had a kid, but she was 80 when she died, which was like 63 years ago. So that means she would have been like 60 or something when if she was the mom of Haradine. So I don't think it's her, but that was my first guess. Because she like her being like a nun essentially, right? Like a holy figure. Like she's definitely the kind of person that could turn someone from bad to good or to start reconsidering, but I don't think she makes perfect sense. I don't know. That's the ultimate question for me. I mean, was there a Mother Carmel before Mother Carmel? Like, not that they're related, but maybe another person who was on Elbaf with an orphanage or something. I don't know. That's a really good thought, though, ZMP. Like, Mother Carmel would be the perfect person for that, even if she doesn't make sense. So I actually love that just because we know Mother Carmel was there, so it lines up just thematically. K Raven with the $5. Do you think rocks could have the same power as Luffy to bring others together? At first, I thought you were going to say, like, the Nika fruit or the Gum Gum or whatever, and I was going to say, if rocks had that fruit and nobody has bothered to comment on that, like Whitebeard didn't say something at Marineford, I'd be like that's like unacceptably plot hole-ish. You know what I mean? But you didn't say that. You're saying Luffy's power to bring others together, and in that context, what I'd say to you is, do you think Buggy has the same thing? Because I think Buggy, it's not the exact same, but I think it's very much in the same vein, where he does it a totally different way, but he gets a lot of people to his side, even when they probably shouldn't be on his side. And so in that angle, and I'm not saying that Buggy is related to rocks. I know there's a ton of theories on that. I'll let them cook that one. But I think in that way, yes. And the reason I put that caveat is, like, Luffy does it the ultimate right way, right? He is doing the right thing. He's leading by example by just charging in and going for it, not diddling around, not just sending in like his armada of, like, you know, fodder to go do it for him. Like, he leads by example, does the right thing. There's all sorts of reasons why people, you know, follow Luffy and why they go to his side ultimately. And then you think about Buggy. He kind of cheats a little bit. He puts on a facade. He has a little bit more fame than he probably deserves. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't really had some of the feats that people maybe attribute to him. And honestly, his business didn't even do as well as we thought, because they were like bankrupted by the time the Cross Guild thing happened. So, you know, Buggy has, you know, it's a little bit of propaganda for Buggy. You know what I mean? So for Rocks, I think he can be a little bit of both, where he maybe does lead by example, where he's really strong and, you know, has no problem charging in, because we saw at God Valley, he charged in ahead of the Rocks Pirates. So he has that thing from Luffy, because Buggy doesn't do that, right? Buggy will send all of his troops in before he lifts a finger, right? That's Buggy's whole thing. He has this like whole armada of people that just love him, right? Although Buggy's done a lot of work himself too, to be fair. You think about to Impel Down, but you guys know what I mean. He's got a lot of followers that he doesn't care to use if he needs to. But so I think Rocks would be a little bit of a middle ground, where, like, he's like Luffy in that he charges in and leads by example, but he's not like Luffy where he's not always doing the right thing. So then you have to wonder, okay, well then how is Rocks getting people to listen to him even when he's doing bad things? Well, I think that might be where the Buggy part comes in, where, like, maybe Rocks does go in head first and leads by example, but he's using propaganda to make people think he's doing the right thing, or even maybe threatens people to make sure they follow him, you know, like, I don't know if a lot of the Rocks pirates, you know, maybe they thought, well, if I ever leave the crew, or if I betray the crew, Rocks is gonna, you know, murder my whole family or take me out and all that stuff. Like, I think then there's a little bit of, it's like, yes, he's getting people to join his side, but he's not doing it the same way as Luffy or Buggy. So I hope that answers the question. Because I do think Rocks, there's a reason why Rocks was able to get all these people under him, you know, whatever it is. Like, he's able to get these forces. I just don't think it's like he's a happy-go-lucky good guy that they just want to rally behind, you know. Tuna with the $5 super chat. Let me get some water first. You said, ever notice how the Always Sunny is basically a synonym for the Eternal Flame? No idea, just an observation. Do you mean the Always Sunny, like, I guess I'm thinking of Enies Lobby first off, But is there something from Elbaf that you're referring to? Like the Sun Realm? Like, did they say the Sun Realm is always sunny? I kind of assumed that they'd have nighttime like normal. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I know in Enies Lobby they talked about that though, and I think there's definitely a connection between the Eternal Flame and what's going on in Enies Lobby, because the Mother Flame is not an eternal one, right? It's like Vegapunk talked, or well, Lilith, the Vegapunks collectively in separate instances talked about how if they had like an eternal flame or better resources, they'd be able to make their own sun. And that's where I kind of get all this from, is like the Mother Flame is really close to what the Ancient Kingdom did, but not exactly. But what the Ancient Kingdom did let them actually make their own sun, so that we have situations like Enies Lobby. So that's why I think the weapon used on Enies Lobby is like a step up from the Mother Flame one, but they're going to be very, very similar, or like similar power sources, whatever the situation is. So yeah, I'm thinking there's definitely a connection there with the always sunny thing and the eternal flame thing and the making your own sun thing. And remember how like the Mother Flame, I mean, it looks like pretty much like a basic flame, but we have that same symbol on what basically is the sun in the moon mural, the Enel cover story mural. A lot of people have said, oh, like that's the Mother Flame, that's X, Y, and Z. And I think that's more of a symbol to say like we're talking about right now, like, yeah, you can make your own sun with a better power source, and the Ancient Kingdom did do that, and we know that the moon was highly advanced. So that's the perfect place to kind of tell us, hey, like, here's this, once you get so advanced, kind of like these people were, you can make your own sun, and here's like an example of it. And so, yeah, I think the Mother Flame is just like a diet sun in a way. Mr. Bushido with the €5. In the page where Loki shouts, "Use me," we see on the right Sanji asking Scopper about hockey, then a panel of Sanji reacting to something. Did Scopper... Did you... was there more there? Okay, nothing else. Let me go back and look at that real quick. He shouts, "Use me." Where is that at? Oh, I'm right here. Use me. Okay. Hey, old man, what about me? Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We see on the right Sanji asking Scopper about hockey. Then a panel of Sanji reacting to something. Did Scopper... Oh, that's a really good catch, Bushido. I didn't really think about that. Because the way I kind of read it at first was Sanji was asking Scopper, "Hey, old man, what about me?" And then, you know how Loki jumped in and started yelling? I kind of just took that as like Sanji like getting distracted by Loki yelling. But now that you bring that up, maybe he might actually be like, maybe Scopper told him like, "No, you don't have it," or maybe he said something special like, "No, you have a special kind of hockey though. I can't put my finger on it." I don't know, something to hype him up, because Sanji's obviously not just gonna, at least I would imagine, not gonna get ragged on this entire time while Zoro gets hype. You know, Oda's usually pretty good at sistering the hype for those two, I feel like. That's a really good catch, dude. That's so awesome. That's like such a subtle thing, but he's like kind of shocked at what Scopper is saying. At least if we assume it's Scopper, right? Technically, it's possible that it's still the Loki thing. Like I said, like he's just so surprised by Loki. And you would also kind of think that if he did tell Sanji, "No, you don't have conquerors," that Sanji would like sulk. And he's not really sulking. He's like just shocked. So I feel like it's either like, "Oh, you have latent conquerors hockey that you haven't used yet," or "No, you don't have it, but you have this other thing." Like that might warrant the response we saw. So that's such a good catch, dude. Mad props to you for sure. That's awesome. Machina Man 64 with the $2 super chat, which I gotta say real quick, seeing 64 at the end of your name reminded me of something. So I bought the Switch 2, and I bought the expansion pass. And whenever you buy the expansion pass on the Switch 2, you get access to like the old retro games, like Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, etc., etc. They don't have every single game, but they have a good amount of them. And I have been playing some Nintendo 64 games on my Switch 2. They also added the online functionality, so you can do like co-op and stuff with people, which is absolutely insane. But I've been playing a lot of Paper Mario 64. I've been playing that. That was the first one I chose, because I haven't beaten that in a long time. I'm like halfway through. But just wanted to mention that, because seeing 64. Whenever you see the number 64, everyone thinks of the same thing. But you said, who do you think we'll see in Harold's flashback? So great question. I know some people earlier brought up Kureha. Kureha is probably at the top of my list just because I have a lot of Kureha stocks right now with Elbath. I think it'd be a really good time. The other option, I think it depends. Like, I think we'll definitely see Mother Carmel. I would bet actual U.S. currency on Mother Carmel appearing at some point. We might even see how she, like, because we saw that she showed up to go save the, like, John Giant and, like, those other giants. Forget exactly how long ago that was, like, really, like, 100 years ago or something. But maybe we'll get a little more context on that situation. Trying to think. I don't know. Like, I want to say Brooke because... So the Big Mom thing happened 63 years ago, and Brooke could have been, like, that little panel we saw with Gunko. I still haven't gotten this video done, but something I say in that video is the oldest that this can, like, the longest ago that can possibly be is, like, 72 or 73 years ago, because Brooke is 90, and you would imagine that he'd have to be, like, an adult to join the military, either 17 or 18, probably 18, but... In One Piece, a lot of people set out on their journey when they're 17, so 17 or 18, so about 73 to 72 years ago. So I could see a world where we also see Brooke, like a young Brooke on his island. I don't know exactly what the context would be. Maybe Harold and the government teamed up for a cleansing on Brooke's island, which that'd be the most insane thing ever if that happened. So I don't know if we'll go that far. But I would like to see Brooke. That could also be a cool way to tie Gunko into it, where if we see Brooke and her together, and maybe that's how we get a little bit of context there. Like, that should be isolated to Brooke, but maybe a little bit of a tease we can get. I definitely think we're going to see Rocks. I think we're going to see a lot of Rocks, because Rocks fell 38 years ago, but we saw him with Loki when Loki was like a kid, and I don't know if we have timestamps for a lot of that, but I feel like Rocks was sailing for quite a while before God Valley. Like, I don't know if decades is the right way, but he was definitely out there for a while. And so I think we're going to get a little bit of Rocks lore here. Oh, here's a good one. What about Louis Arnault? We could get some Louis Arnault talk. Because, remember, Louis Arnault visited Little Garden and named Little Garden. And whenever he was there, Dory and Brogy were already there. And this is 109 years ago. And Dory and Brogy got lost 100 years ago, right? Or is it 102 counting for the time scale? Whatever it is. It's, a little bit after this time period we're seeing right now. So I could see Dory and Brogy also, like maybe we see where they, get in their initial argument at Little Garden. And then we see Louis Arnault pop up and talk to them and have that first connection. Those are some of them. Those are some of them that I see. I think we're going to be surprised, though. I do think Oda's going to throw in a few curveballs, either people that we know of or parents of people that we know of, and so we get a little extra context. I think Oda's really going to blow us away. And even if the whole flashback doesn't happen like now, right? Like it might happen. Maybe we'll only get a few chapters now over just what happened to Harold, and maybe later we'll get more about Harold and the government. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that Oda could tap into. So I think we're going to be surprised, though. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici with the 5 pounds. Robin is currently struggling with Summer's Thorns. Bro, how did I forget about that? Our girl Robin is still struggling, isn't she? Zoro and Sanji got to get up there. But I wonder if she can evolve or awaken her devil fruit to give herself infinite regeneration. It's really interesting you bring that up, because Robin, like with this immortality thing that we're seeing, a lot of people, including myself, have brought up the idea that maybe the God's Knights that come out of the circle aren't their real body. Maybe it's like a visage of themselves, a shadow clone, whatever you want to call it. It's not really them. And I think there's still a really good chance of that. In fact, I probably bank on that. But it's interesting because Robin does the same thing, right? You think back to Wano, where like she can get hurt, but like remember how she had that fake version of herself in looking for poneglyph stuff in Wano, and then the Oni Wabanshu, the ninjas, they like went after her, but then she's like, "Oh hey, just kidding. This is just a fake clone made of flowers. It's not me." So like Robin can kind of do that too, and so it's interesting that that Oda's kind of touching on this. So I'm wondering, can Robin just like bring up a clone next to her? And she might have done this before, where she brings up like a clone next to her and then swaps so that she becomes the clone and then her original place becomes the flowers. I don't know if I feel like she has, or maybe I'm thinking of a different show or something, but that's what I would expect to happen, right? Where she just has a Robin pop up out of the thorns, she becomes that Robin, and then the Robin that she was becomes the fake one, and then just poofs, turns into flowers, and then she's out of there. I don't know if that's maybe like the next step. I don't know if that's awakening or just kind of like how Luffy had gears, like he was progressively improving. I don't know if her next step after demon mode is this, and then maybe awakenings later, or maybe this just is awakening. But that's a really good point. And she also has the flower fruit, right? And she's dealing with the thorn fruit now, so there's that juxtaposition of things. And I also talked in my last video a little bit, and I had some good comments on this as well, where what if Robin just figures out the abyss magic, and that's her power up, right? So like she did want to get hockey, and she got like a little bit of fishman karate, but she hasn't had like a massive power up. Like the demon mode Robin is that, but then here we're seeing that Domi Reversi turns people into giant demon versions of themselves. So it's like Robin already kind of figured that out for herself in a way. So I really wonder if the next step is Robin will figure out this abyss magic and use it for her, her own power. And I don't know if she'll be using it in the same way. She might have different applications or something, but it looks like the text on the circle of these pentagram circles, it looks like that's ancient poneglyph language. We don't actually know that for sure. I haven't done enough research to check if they're the same, and who knows if that's all even accurate. We might not even have the whole alphabet of poneglyph language from the poneglyphs. I don't know. But if that is tied to the ancient language, I mean, who better to learn techniques using it than Robin, right? So that was a long-winded way of saying I think you're onto something. This would be a good chance for sure for Robin to improve a little bit. Smooth Weeb with a Canadian $2. Elbath thinks Loki deathed Harold, killed Harold. I think I'm allowed to say kill, I think. If I'm not, YouTube forgive me. But Elbath thinks Loki killed Harold before he was born. Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean by that? Like well, because Loki was born 63 years ago, and this happened 14 years ago. So I guess I'm confused. I'm confused on exactly what you mean. You're probably making complete sense. I just have no idea exactly what you're saying. If you want to put it in the regular chat, I'll be paying attention. We're actually almost at the end of the super chats now, which took me quite a while. We're almost at 2.5 hours, which that's insane. I mean, it was a good chapter, bro. It was a good chapter. I'm sorry I took so long, but it was a good chapter. But Smooth Weave, if you want to update me on what exactly you mean, let me know, because I'm not exactly sure, because he was. Like, is there a line here where they mention that and I missed it maybe? And I'm also thinking, yeah, because Harold, I guess we're also presuming Harold came back to Elbath and like became a king full time before Loki was born, because Haradin was born 18 years before Loki. So there is that juxtaposition there where, like, I think we talked about it earlier, but like he was a pirate, maybe at Haradin, that made him settle down, and then Loki was born. Not sure, but yeah, if you want to update me, I'll definitely keep an eye on that. Oh, here you go. Now, I had to refresh the page. The chat wasn't updating, and I had a feeling that you'd still be here, so I refreshed. Hold on. This was funny, though, Smoothweave. You said, Robin's almost dying, and Luffy is listening intently to a Shanks story. That is a funny way to put it. Now, I don't think Luffy knows that Robin's almost dying. I think that would, if he heard that exact phrase, I think he'd probably be like, hey, I'll come back later. And he's also under the impression that, like, Loki's going to help them, right? Because he wants Loki to get freed and all that stuff to come help him. So there's that element. But that is funny. That is funny to think about. The prophecy that his son would kill him. So Howardine wouldn't care to even ask about what happened since they think bad of Loki before even being born. Wait, I'm blanking on the prophecy of it. Was that earlier in the chat, or earlier in the arc, and I'm not remembering it? I'm trying to go back through and see if it's in this chapter. I don't remember them having a prophecy of that, but maybe I'm just blanking on it. I'm not 100% sure. They pin his mother's death, which was 1 year after, also the death of a horse. It's all tied to them thinking Loki will cause havoc. There was a prophecy chapters ago that said Harold's kid would kill him. Okay, yeah, I don't remember that. I'll have to go back and look. I don't recall. I'm not saying you're wrong, because there's a lot of stuff I feel like that, like, little comments like that I have not been remembering. Will of Dreams, you also said a cursed child prophecy of Loki. I remember the accursed child thing, but that, I don't think that was in like in light of it being a prophecy, right? I think that was just like he's the accursed prince because he did all these bad things. Like, he's already accursed due to his actions, not that he was foretold to be cursed, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think accursed means like, you know, from like the dawn of time, you know, you're prophetically bound to doing these things. I think they just mean accursed, like he did a bunch of bad stuff, right? That's how I read it, at least. And that's also a translation thing, I think. Where, like, if the word accursed is all we have, I would probably lean more towards that's just the the translators took a little bit of liberty to say accursed instead of just, you know, bad. I don't know what other word to think of. But again, I could be wrong on the prophecy part. That I genuinely don't remember. They thought that about him before he was born, if I remember correctly. I may have to read the Viz translation. Yeah, I don't remember. And I also, in that same segment of the story where they talked about the accursed prince, in the TCB, it was very vague about if Loki had eaten the fruit or not. Like, they did not explicitly say it, but the official made it much more obvious that he did actually eat the fruit. And like I said, that was the same like discussion earlier in the arc. So definitely check the official, or maybe even ask someone who reads Japanese, because if that did talk about a prophecy part, that's really important. And honestly, if it did, I wouldn't be that shocked, because you think about the mural, right? The mural is a giant prophecy, or at least part of it is. Part of it's about the past, part of it's about the future. Well, the present and the future. So it wouldn't surprise me if they talked about it. I just don't recall, but I could definitely be wrong. Sean, you said Harold and Kaido are twins, man. Oh, they're not just twins. They're father and son, my friend. I got whatever money I don't have in my dragon stocks, I'm putting into my Harold and Kaido stocks. Not literally, they just look alike. Well, hey, I say kind of literally, because their facial hair is like the exact same, right? Like their beard, at least. It's like almost identical. And then obviously they have the horns. Even Harold's even wearing this, like, I don't know if it's chainmail or if it's like a shirt with a scale design, but it looks like Kaido's tattoo. They're way too similar, man. They are like, they're related. And you also got to think, like, Harold already had kids with 2 different women. All right. So he is not against, you know, remarrying and having kids. Like, he might have more than we know of, like Kaido. And you also got to think Kaido got sold from Vodka Kingdom to the government. Harold is here, you know, he's seems like a globalist. Like, he worked on a lot of trade, made deals with the government. We know that much. So would it be a surprise if he brokered a deal with Vodka and shipped off one of his kids, one of his, like, bastard children or something? I think that could totally line up. So, all right, I got a couple more super chats here that I want to get done, and then I'll go back to the full chat and then we'll talk for a little bit. K Raven, $5 super chat. Kuja warrior tangent. I think a past hormone fruit user affected the lineage of the Kuja. You said the Kuma, which is funny, but the Kuja, to make a utopia for women by ensuring they'd only have girls. That kind of reasoning I love. That's all I want. I want someone to just explain it to me, and like that reasoning you gave. Like, I'm not saying that is the answer, but if it was, I'd be totally okay with it. It would make sense. It would give some importance to the hormone fruit beyond just Ivankov has it, which, there might be some importance with Crocodile too. You know, we all talk about the Croco Mom theories. So, but regardless, if it actually had a tie to that island, I think that might make some sense too, because that might have happened like maybe around the Void Century or maybe right after the Void Century, because people have talked about how Lily maybe started Amazon Lily. Maybe that's why she didn't go home. Who knows how that all works? But the reason I like that is a lot of people also say that Lily has the pawpaw fruit, and the pawpaw fruit and the hormone fruit, in my opinion, are like sister fruits in a way, because Ivankov and Kuma had them, and they were essentially the dragon's wings, pretty much, right? I know Sabo's now the number 2, but I think overall, I think most people would say like Kuma and Ivankov are really dragon's wings. And so if they had those two fruits, the paw fruit and the hormone fruit, maybe the revolutionary army of the past, which is the 20 kings, maybe they had those two fruits as well. And that could be, Lily, maybe Lily used those two fruits. Not that Lily had both, but someone next to her or she was friends with or something maybe had one, and maybe they worked together to do that. I think that actually fits really well, so I like that. And then Jew Viol Grace with the $2 super chat, you said, need that Brook vid. Well, Jew Viol Grace, I have good news for you. That is unless my editor is freed up, which he's got some stuff going on that he just is too busy to work on videos right now. But because the Brook vid is like really close to done, I do need to go in and tinker a lot with it. Like, I say a lot, not time wise, but I do need to move some things around. But that is the video that would take me the least time to get done. So I'm gonna spend the rest of today thinking about whether I want to do a video on this chapter, because there's a lot of things I want to say, but I don't know if there's anything that I need to like pull out as like, oh dude, we just figured out a massive mystery. Like, I don't know if I really have any conclusions like that, so I'll probably just do a redacted video on the chapter, and I'll probably do the Brook video on the main channel. That's what I'm thinking, but I'll spend the day thinking about that. But rest assured, that Brook video is coming. I've been debating. I have a thumbnail for it, but now that I'm changing the video, I want to get a new thumbnail for it, and to do that, I got to get the video. I got to think about what the new focus of it is. So I don't know. I got to do a little work on it, but not that much. So that's hopefully that video will be out in a few days, just so it's. I know, it's out of my hair, because every week I think like, okay, I need to get the Brook video done, and then once the spoilers come out, I'm like, well, I really don't want to do a video on Brook's backstory if the chapter is talking about Brook's backstory, because then, a lot of it might just go to waste, or people might just not care anymore, because like, well, who cares what Dak's theory is on it, because now we have the answer, you know what I mean? So I've been kind of dragging my feet on it, but I feel like if I really put pedal to the metal, I can get that done by like Sunday, and then we'll be good. So anyway, let's go over to the regular chat and see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. So One Piece Sage? Does that say Sage? Okay, I couldn't tell if it said Saga, which that would also make sense if it said One Piece Saga. So anyways, you said I seriously need a One Piece timeline video. So I actually love that idea. Can you because I know there's a few out there, like Artur has done a really good job of covering the timeline before. I know he has a whole timeline on his website, and I think he's done a video. But also, we have a lot of new timestamps to talk about, especially with Harold. So I'm curious, what would you what would you kind of want that video to be like? Would you do you just want me to just go through the timeline in general as like an informational thing, or would you want it to be theory laden, if that makes sense? Because that's kind of been something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is do I it's kind of hard to make theories all the time that are like big game breaking theories, but it's kind of easy to do something like that, where like a One Piece timeline video, and I just sprinkle theories in as we go, so it's informational and a little bit of theories. That's like the easiest video for me to make, to be honest. And I feel like there's a pretty wide appeal for it. But at the same time, I know I built this channel up on making like big game-breaking theories. So I don't know. I'm just curious what you would expect out of that video. Because kind of in line with that, I'm also thinking about doing a video on like all the One Piece cover stories, which would mainly be an informational video for anybody who hasn't caught up on the cover stories. But I would also throw some theories in there, and that's something I've been thinking about is like, well, if I want it to be informational, I don't want to put too many theories, because then the people who are just coming for the info are kind of like, all right, man, like, I just move on to the next thing. But then the people who want the theories are coming mainly for that. You know what I mean? They already know the cover stories to a large degree. So I don't know. Those are just some of the things I've been kind of thinking on future videos. Because like Brook's backstory, that's like easy to do in quotes because Oda kind of set me up to do it by introducing it in one of the chapters. And that's how like a lot of short-term theories are for me. But more informational ones are you know, almost easier to do because I don't have to everything's not a theory in the video. You know, a lot of it is just me essentially regurgitating the wiki. I say that like it's bad. I mean, I do more than that, but that's kind of what it is. But then I just have to sprinkle some extra thoughts on top, and that's like easy. But like I said, I know a lot of you guys come to my channel for theories, and so I'm always kind of balancing like what exactly I should do. Friend Harper, you said do that. What which one were you? Was that the cover story one that you were talking about? I have a mighty need. Second video on the theories after the first one. Did you mean the cover story one? Is that the do that, or is it the timeline one? Sorry, I should have been looking as I was talking. Then I have a better grasp. But I was staring into the void while I was talking, which I do a lot. Will of Dreams, you said, do you think the past giant pirates were mercenaries like how Radine did for Buggy? They could have worked for someone we know. Rocks. Dude. Yes. That's a great thought, man. That is such a good thought. And you know what's crazy, dude? Now you've really unlocked my theory brain. This is a video that I've actually been wanting to do, and you may have given me a good segue to maybe do it. Where I've been wanting to do a video about how Harold started the underworld. Not the underworld like Brook underworld, but the trading underworld, the Umit, the Big News Morgans, that underworld. And personally, I feel like it's a super strong theory. It's like, for me, it makes sense to me, but whenever I go and try to put the words onto paper, it's a little bit harder to think of a way to like say it that I feel like will make sense to everybody, and I won't sound like a crazy person. But now that you brought this up, the Haradin working for Buggy thing, that was kind of an underworld thing, right? Like they kind of agreed to help with, you know, trade in a way. And I feel like that might be Harold's whole thing, is like it seems like he's like a global trade kind of guy, a globalization guy. And so maybe that's where the underworld thing started, is the past giant warrior pirates started working for Rox doing underworld activities. Then Rox died and Harold's like, well, I guess I'm running this thing now. And it ended up becoming, you know, what it is today. Because remember, the government also works with the underworld. That might be like the number one purchaser of things from the underworld. Also, the Atomwood is shipped through the underworld. So there's a lot of stuff that connects that. And I really like what you're saying, man. That, like, Haradin worked for Buggy just like Harold worked for Rox. And now that's just going to lead to a lot of people saying Buggy is Rox's kid, which again, I don't necessarily think is true. Not impossible for sure, because Buggy is old enough. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But regardless, the parallels are undeniable, especially between Cross Guild and the Rox Pirates, at least in my opinion. So there's definitely a parallel between the two, without question. So I really like that, man. I really like. It's a great way to segue into the underworld stuff for sure. Friend Harper, you said yes, the cover one. All right, hey. So I've had a lot of requests for the cover story one, so that I might push that one up. Because that one, I love the cover stories. That's the other thing, is like, that's just appealing for me, because like, you know, One Piece is appealing in all sorts of ways, but the cover stories are like just a treasure trove of thoughts. You know what I mean? Like like I think I mentioned this to you guys a couple months ago, but did you guys know that we've seen an east bird and a west bird? A lot of people have made jokes that Dragon might have the east bird fruit because he looks east and stuff like, and he might have the wind fruit and all that stuff. Well, we've already seen an east bird, and that was in the cover story, and nowhere else. A north bird and a south bird had babies, and they were east birds and west birds. You know, like it's little stuff like that that you only get out of the cover story that I just want to. It's just so fun to talk about. So I might move that one up, friend Harper. I might just do that. If you have a good thumbnail idea, let me know, because that was my holdup so far. Actually, was the thumbnail. I mean. And it's going to take a while to edit, but I've been trying to do the thumbnail, and I've talked to my artist about it a few times, and I've gone through some ideas, but it's kind of hard. Like, I know Enel being on the moon has to be part of it. I don't know what else, but I know that's just so hype that people want to see it. So I don't know, but I'll probably push that one up because it seems like you guys want that one. I've had a few comments about that too, because I've talked about how I want to do a video on all of them in other videos. I think I've even said, like, let me know if you want a full video, and I've had comments that say they do, so I'll push that one up. One Piece Sage, you said, no way, Dragon ate an East Bird fruit is mad wild. Seriously? That's insane. Yep, that's been a theory for a long time, because the South Bird can only look south, Dragon can only look east, or, well, he can look other ways, but he tends to only look east. And also, Dragon has the wind fruit. The South Bird was tied to Skypiea, so there's like that sky element. And so people are like, oh, does he actually have an East Bird fruit that gives him like wind power so he can do whatever? Like that's been a theory for a long time. And I think it's hilarious. It's so funny. And I would not have minded if that was the case. And I actually think there's a like a drawing of it. Like somebody, let me look it up. Dragon, One Piece, East Bird. I think they're, I don't know if it's from like Return to the Reverie or something. Oh no. It's a meme thing from somebody where it has like Rat Garling and East Bird Dragon. Yep. Yeah, this is from a while ago. World's most wanted man, Dragon, Monkey D Dragon, Bird Fruit model East Bird, and he's fighting off against Garling the Rat, which just hilarious meme. If you guys Google Dragon East Bird, you'll find it. Straw Hat AP, you said Croc is a lock for Rock's kid. I agree, 100% agree with you. You already know. We did the video, and it's I'm locked in on that. If it ends up being wrong, it ends up being wrong. But until that happens, I'm literally locked in. That is one of my. There's a few theories for me that are like locks, where like I won't go as far as saying I won't consider other theories, because that's not fun. It's always fun to consider theories, and I'm wrong more than I'm right, so I'd be dumb to, you know, not consider other thoughts. But as far as what my official choice is, that's one of the theories where my choice will not change until it's proven wrong. Same for Pluton as a mole, same for Mass Deuce being the man marked by flames. There's like a small subset of theories that I have as locks where I just believe in it so much, and that's one of them for sure. Rocked in. Rocked in. Throw away the rocks. We don't need the rocksmiths anymore. We can throw away the key. We don't need any more. You don't have to go to Walmart and go to the key machine to get another key for this lock, because this lock doesn't need to be opened. We're good. You know what I mean? This lock is locked. Okay, ADNX, I'm glad you mentioned this. If Dragon pulled up to Marijwa, it means he finna. I have not said finna in a long time. If Dragon pulled up to Marijwa, it means he finna meet Akainu again, and we might get a flashback about him in the Marine days. I love that too. I want that so bad. I think it'd be a cool video. I don't know if I would do a full video, maybe a redacted video on it, but I want to do a video on like the top 10 flashbacks that we still need. And maybe I can have someone do like their top 10 and I'll do my top 10 and we'll just go back and forth. But Dragon and Akainu is near the very top of my list. Like Brook's extra backstory, like, you know, I'm a huge Brook fan. I want that extra backstory, but the Laboon stuff appeals to me so much. I don't know if that extra Brook backstory is necessarily like in my top 2 or 3. Well, now that the God's Knight stuff has been introduced, now it's creeping up there, because I didn't know that it would be this deep. So now it might be top 1 or 2. But the Dragon in Akainu is like in my top 1 or 2. And I'm not counting like the Void Century flashback. That's like that's a whole other ball game. Yeah, that's the whole story right there. If we get the whole Void Century flashback or Joy Boy flashback, but of like contemporary characters, Akainu and Dragon are top 2. And we don't know what's happening in Marijois still. That's like a huge thing that Oda just dropped and has not touched on. So I really want to see what's going on over there. I think Dragon is a good bet. It's just pretty soon since the Revs were there, so we'll see. We'll see if it's them, but they probably make the most sense. So I want that so bad. And yeah, and Sabo getting revenge for Ace. I'm a big believer in Sabo versus Akainu. Now, Dragon will start versus Akainu. They'll have their flashback. They'll air their grievances. They'll probably box for a little bit. That's happening. But I do think Sabo should finish him for sure. Vex, you said, I've never been on the time dilation theories, but Harold being 45, which is 15 in human terms, is 3x. And so was the length of time it had been since Roger passed when Shanks and Gaban were in the bath. 3 or 4 years, but it was actually 10. Wait. So it's 3x, and so was the length of time it had been since Roger passed when Shanks and Gaban were in the bath. Oh, let me go back and look. Let me go take a look. It's been quite a while since we... How long's it been? 3, maybe 4 years? Get real. It's been 10 years since the captain died. That is really interesting. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's 3.33 times 3 is basically 10 is what you're getting at, right? Like 3, maybe 4 years. You could maybe, let's just, it feels like this is self-serving, but let's say he meant 3.33. If it's 3x, that would be 10 years. And so, you know what? I think you're onto something there, Vex. And I agree with you. I wasn't really on the time dilation theories either, but you see here, Scopper is the one saying it's been 3 or 4 years, right? And Shanks is the one saying it's been 10 years. And Scopper's the one who's been on the island for most of this time, and Shanks is the one who only comes and goes. Yeah, no, yep, the time dilation stock skyrocketed. Absolutely skyrocketed. That almost proves it to me. That time on Elbaf... So what? It's time on Elbaf moves a third as fast, right? That's the idea. Now, this... I don't know if it's an issue, but just a caveat is, you know, Dorian Brogy, like... People look at the Giants' age. Like, yes, it's 3x, but like living to 300s, you know, a lot, but like they do that away from Elbaf as well, right? It's not like the Giants live to be normal human ages away from Elbaf. So their age stuff, maybe it originated with this time dilation stuff, but they actually do age to be a true 300, right? Or, well, Jarl's like 400, but... So that age is correct, but regardless, it does seem like time on the Elbaf Island moves a third as fast. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't catch that the first time, Vex, but you are really... You're right. The time dilation stock skyrocketed, dude. Like... I don't know. Now I got all sorts of ideas on that now. Yeah, I'm still not sold, but it is solid food for thought. I thought I had heard it could be a symptom of the Atom Tree pollen, so it would be genetically changed for them even if they went off the island. And then, I have heard that too, or it maybe not the pollen, but it could be like, I don't know, like it could be like the Skypiea situation. Remember in Skypiea, the trees were making people sick, and maybe the Atom Tree... They're not sick, but it's just affecting them in a way. is it pollen? Is it a disease? Is it like radioactivity? Is it the awakening of some kind of devil fruit? Like, and I was actually thinking about this earlier today, crazy enough, when I was walking my dog. So this is a perfect time to mention this. But I was thinking how Toki was born during the Void Century, not before, but during. And what if, and so somebody had her fruit beforehand is mainly the point. And so what if that person awakened that fruit on Elbaf, maybe affected the Atom Tree, and that's why this happens, is that something to do with Toki's fruit? And then Toki got it, later from whoever died and started this whole thing, and then she just jumped forward so that nobody could, like, fix it. Again, I don't really know I don't have the whole story baked into my head, but I was just thinking, oh yeah, well, hey, somebody had the fruit before the Void Century. Maybe they used it on Elbaf. That was my whole thought. So, I don't know. That's a really good catch, Vex. It's a really, really good catch. Bad rap sample. You said, I guess Loki is the Brutus, because Brutus was like a son to him. Yeah. I mean, well, I guess we got to see how it exactly transpired, right? Because we see, like, Loki walked in and his old man was already getting stabbed, so I'm not, we got to... I don't know how it ended. And we also see, like, this blood splattering everywhere. Let us out. Who closed the gate? Like... Also, I think I commented this earlier, but I just reread it. And the fact that his name is Harold the Benevolent is such a... Like, you gotta earn that, Like, I think I said this earlier too, but, like, Elbaf... It might be that Elbaf sees him as benevolent because he... helped Elbaf and maybe moved them from savagery to being more sophisticated, but he might be bad to the rest of the world. But, like, I mean, if that's your name, man, that's like you had a good reputation, not just like a okay one, but, like, if your epithet, and maybe that's not his true epithet, like, we'll see, but it seems to be close to it. I mean, that's big time. That is real big time. I'm going to refresh one more time because I think chat froze again. It did freeze. And I was way behind. There's some times where I say so much, I'm like, somebody had to have said something. There's no way nobody said anything. And then I refresh, and there's just like a million things that I should have been responding to this whole time. Vax, you also said but it would be mostly irreversible. And that's the thing about the Atom Tree affecting people, is that, like, people who visit should then also get the age effect, if that makes sense. So I feel like there's more to it than it just being like something coming off the tree. And maybe it's that you have to be there long enough. Like, maybe you have to live on Elbaf for like 10 years or something for it to start taking into effect. Or maybe you have to, like, whenever you get conceived, maybe it has to be there. That would be so weird for Oda to do, but I don't know. I feel like there has to be a caveat there, and, like, why some people get to age more and some don't. Or it could just be the Giants just, maybe their aging and Elbaf's time are just separate things. They just coincide. I don't know. It's also interesting how Little Garden was the place where, like, you had to wait a whole year for the log post to update. Because that's, like, the only place where we've really had that issue. Like, there's other times where we didn't use the log post, but that was, like, one of the only times where we're like, well, we can't wait that long. What else are we going to do? I think that's the longest we've ever heard for a log post to update, I believe. And it's interesting that one is like an island you would have to stay a long time on. And now we're at Elbaf where they're like, don't stay here that long. There's that cool kind of inversion, I suppose. Lafitte closed the gate, Straw Hat AP says. That's hilarious, man. You must be the #1 Lafitte fan. Like, and I mean, that's a good thing. Like, Lafitte's an awesome character to be a fan of, but if Lafitte ever does something, I'm like I said, you're getting a botanical garden. Bad rap sample, you said, or Loki is closest to Mark Antony, because Mark hunts down the conspirators, but his reputation is still damaged afterward, plus he loses control of Rome. I am not well versed enough in history in general to touch on that, but I do think there's a there's something going on here with the because like I feel like there's that's at least Brutus is like one of the biggest betrayal stories of all time, right? It's like I feel like that's one that a lot of people know. I think I even had on a thumbnail at one point. I ended up changing it, but on one of my thumbnails, I think I even had like Et tu Brutus or something like that, because I that's such a big betrayal story, and I don't know enough about it to really touch on the Mark Antony stuff. I gotta refresh my memory, but it's such a big betrayal story that I would not be surprised at all if Oda was tying to that one, especially with Harold working with the government. Because I feel like the government could easily be a Rome parallel, especially with Nerona, like Nero, like Emperor Nero. People have talked about those theories. So I think there's definitely a Rome connection for sure. Rashid. I want to say Rashid because I watched a lot of Rasheed Wallace in the NBA, so I default to that. But I don't know if it's Rashid or Rashid, but Rashid B with the $5. Sanji got Conqueror's Haki once he accepts he's a Vinsmoke. He's been battling who he is his whole life. That's interesting. So, and that does build onto what happened in Wano, right? Because in Wano, once he accepted his Germa enhancements, like not necessarily that he is Germa, but that he has the enhancements, and that he had that debate like, Luffy, who do you want me to be? Like, what kind of person does the Pirate King need, right? Like, he's thinking about it in that way. And he kind of accepted that he has these upgrades and that he can use them to, to improve. But he didn't want to go any further. That's why he got rid of the raid suit. He's like, I don't know what's going to keep happening to me. Let's stop this now. So he kind of accepted that he had those upgrades. And that's kind of what let him beat King. That's what gave him Diable Jambe and stuff. But I guess he probably hasn't accepted that he's a Vinsmoke, like, because he hates them, right? He doesn't want to be one of them. He knows what they stand for, so he's been rejecting that. But maybe that I could see what you're saying coming to life at some point, where, like, I guess the point is, like, if you can't accept who you truly are, then you can't be a conqueror, which, like, that's like a loose, I feel like it's kind of a loosey-goosey way of saying it, but it's kind of like you have to be very sure of yourself if you're going to be sure of what's going on around you. And being sure of yourself and confident in yourself is part of what Conqueror's Haki really is. Maybe is the theme that Oda's going for. So I like that. And like I said at the beginning, my favorite part is that it builds onto the Wano stuff, right? He accepted his enhancements, got rid of the raid suit, but accepted his enhancements, and he got stronger from it. So maybe now he's got to accept his actual, like, bloodline, and then he'll get even stronger. And that might be part of, like, Loki's thing, because you think to Harold how he ripped out his horns. And so he was not proud of his lineage, or at least in some context. We'll see exactly, who he was and what he was about soon. But that was part of his story, is he obviously didn't like his lineage, and he tore his horns out, and then he ended up getting killed by Loki. Loki has kept his horns, and assuming Loki does keep his horns, it's kind of the same thing you're saying. He accepted who he is, and he's likely to surpass Harold eventually, probably because of that. So that could be the whole theme here, is accepting who you truly are, even if your lineage isn't something you're proud of. You have to be proud of who you are and what you're making of it, right? So I actually, the more I think about it, the more I like that, man. The more, seriously, that's a really good thought. That it fits in with the themes of Elbaf, which is what makes it really compelling for me. Because I talked about this before in a video from a while ago, but like unmasking yourself, I think, is going to be a big plot to this whole arc. Because, like, we started off with people saying they're gods, and they really weren't. Roto even had a mask on, and we learned, oh, he's just Roto. Like, there's these people putting on airs to be bigger than who they really are. Like, Mother Carmel pretended to be this great nun who took care of all these kids. Oh, she was actually a human trafficker. And honestly, Big Mom. Now, Big Mom did a bunch of bad stuff, but I would even say her situation's even a little bit misconstrued, because, for one thing, she doesn't even know yet who Mother Carmel really was. And neither do the Giants. And so if the Giants learned that Mother Carmel was actually bad, they might look at Big Mom eating Mother Carmel as a whole separate thing. Like, oh, wait, maybe that's not the worst thing ever. So there's a lot of like unmasking in this arc that I think is going to happen, where people realize who they truly are. Luffy realizing he's Nika, that's another one, but then he's going to reject that probably and say, no, I'm just Luffy, I don't care about that guy. So there's a lot of that going on. So yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm with you. ADNX, you said, we don't know about Luffy's mom, but we also don't know about his grandma. Bro, what you think? Well, I assume you're saying his maternal grandmother, because his, his paternal one, like Garp's mom, I feel like she's probably like a Dadan type person, I would imagine. I don't know who else. I can't imagine anything else, honestly. But as for his maternal grandmother, I'm a big believer that Luffy's mom was a celestial dragon, so that would mean that his grandma was as well. I have a whole video on that. I don't even know if you guys want me to go through that whole theory right now, but I'm a pretty big believer that his mom was a celestial dragon. Which his mom is Dadan. We got to give some respect to Dadan. Dadan deserves all the respect in the world. But we're talking biological mother. I'm going with a celestial dragon, I think. Did I do all the super chats? Okay, I did do all the super chats. Okay, cool. I want to make sure I did not miss any. Also, thank you everybody who subscribed during the stream. I don't know if you're still here, but I know I have the subscriber only mode on for the spoiler prevention purposes. So I don't know if you're here and that's why you did it. And if you did, welcome. I really appreciate you subscribing. And if you're watching a video and you're not here and you never see this, I still appreciate you for subscribing. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. But all right, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. We're at 3 hours. That's not real. I say this every time. It's just the time we're talking about, this time dilation stuff. I'm pretty sure the origin of the time dilation issues happened during this stream, because I'm telling you, it was not 3 hours. It felt like 1 hour. We have the 3x time situation going on in my office. So what I'll do is for the rest of the day, I'm gonna analyze my office and figure out where this time dilation's coming from, and that'll help me with this theory. Because I don't know if I don't think I'll do a full channel video on that yet, but I really want to talk about a lot of this chapter on Redacted, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that. So I'll figure out whatever I can from the office, because we have the same thing going on here for sure. There's no way that was 3 hours. There's no chance. That's insane. But all right, I'm heading out, guys. So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. This was genuinely one of my favorite chapters I've read in a while. And like, again, not to take away from the past hype, but so many little mysteries, so many little things to talk about here. You guys had so many awesome thoughts. Just thank you so much. But heading out. Have a Redacted video out Sunday probably. Hoping to get a Brook video out on the main channel here by Sunday as well, maybe Monday. And don't hold me to that, because again, don't forget about Bella. Bella is downstairs. I'm gonna go hang out with her for a little bit right now, because she has not been introduced to my other pets, because she is not warmed up to me yet. She's let me pet her and stuff, but she is very, very depressed about her situation. She's been under the blankets, and I feel so bad for her. So I'm gonna go hang out with Bella for a little bit and comfort her and make her feel better. And I'm gonna think about theories while I do that. So if I don't get a main channel video out, don't blame Bella, because she does not deserve any blame, but it would probably be due to her. But I'll try to get one out regardless. We'll have a Redacted video out for sure. So thank y'all. And TCG giveaway, not this weekend, probably next weekend. Hopefully Oda hits us with a break, because we don't want a break, but you know, there are some benefits to it from a creator standpoint. So ending point is stay tuned for more, because we got a lot of stuff coming.